Have a major trade for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears. Once again, the Bears load up on the offensive line. Earlier this week, it was Jonah Jackson. This time, a big one. Sources say all-pro guard Joe Thuney, one of the best in the NFL. Of course, played tackle this year in a pinch, but is a big-time guard, is expected to be traded to the Chicago Bears. This deal, of course, cannot be final until the start of the league year. If you look at what Kansas City is doing, they're already paying Creed Humphrey. They obviously are going to pay Trey Smith. They need to free up some space. Joe Thuney ends up going, I would say, similar to the Tyreek Hill trade a couple years back, a player about to get a third contract. They move on, get a little younger, free up some space. For the Chicago Bears, nothing is more important than protecting Caleb Williams. They now have one of the best in the NFL to do it.
He has that contagious attitude, that infectious kind of character that you want to see. When you talk about a team that hasn't really performed up to standard, when you talk about the Bears, and then you hear about the fracturing internally, you need that stabilizing force. And I think Joe Thuney has shown throughout his career, whether it was with New England and then here in Kansas City, he knows how to be a champion, he knows how to be professional, and he knows how to be a guy that guys can rally around. He's going to be a guy in that locker room that's going to be like, dude, stop complaining. Let's just go to work.
So now maybe that changes the aggressiveness with which you pursue Drew Dahlman. And now you've got to figure out what is plan B at the center position. Jonah Jackson has some ability to play center, hasn't been great at it. Anyway, I'll leave it there for you and see what you've got to add.
You and I have seen up close the problems the Bears have at center in the past, but very quietly. I'm not saying Coleman Shelton is going to be the center of this team.
I'm with you though, as keep him on speed dial, right?
You keep him on speed dial, keep him on the roster. I think we learned last season that if you have somebody in, like, the Bears just haven't had competency at that position relative to last year. I mean, last year Coleman Shelton wasn't perfect, but he was pretty smooth. Didn't stand out a lot, either great or bad. But in previous years, Lucas Patrick and Sam Mustipher and Cody Whitehair, that position has been a huge problem for the Bears. So, I think at this point, being that center is not considered like the premium position. I can't imagine them, Dan, at this point going after. Now that would be, maybe the Bears are doing things so differently this year that Drew Dahlman is still in play for the Bears. But my gut is that position will probably go to a guy. I'm not saying Coleman Shelton, but somebody like him.
But Joe Thuney, the veteran, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, once in New England, twice in Kansas City, gets the opportunity to go and show what he's got in Chicago and give that young group the leadership that they are so desperately in need of. And, whether he plays guard or tackle, I'm sure he'll be playing guard.
I play him at guard after what I saw in the Super Bowl.
Whether they play him at guard or tackle, they are going to get better at that position. And Mike knows that I firmly believe that the interior part of the dish, the pocket, the guards in the center, is where you can make or break the confidence of a quarterback, because without it, you have nowhere to step up. Without it, it muddies that pocket. Your vision, your eye level goes down. You're no longer looking down the football field. And for a guy like Caleb Williams, you're going to need that dish. He can make the guys miss on the edge. He did it a number of times last year. 65 or so plays that should have resulted in sacks, he got out of it. But Joe Thuney, huge get for the Chicago Bears. It's clear to me that Ryan Poles really enjoyed his time with Joe Thuney in Kansas City and said, this is the guy we have to have on our roster. This is a leader, a really intelligent dude, very tough, and position versatility. I think it's a home run for the Chicago Bears.
Welcome, everyone, to a fresh episode of Bear Their Souls. There's Johnny Santucci sinking. Now he's rising up like the phoenix. And our two special guests for tonight, PJ from Bears Country Podcast and Steven Zimmerman, lifelong Chicago White Sox and Bears fan. He is one of the youngest, longest suffering sports fans imaginable. Steven, where are you? You're not at home. Where are you?
I'm in a hotel room in Fargo, North Dakota, man, and let me tell you, it is.
Is that the prostitute you ordered?
Cold up there?
It's Fargo, man. Let me tell you.
BJ, you're from your home studio?
Yes.
Outstanding. And you told us before the show that you got a kind of a new gig. Are you ready to talk about that?
Yeah, I will wait till tomorrow night, I guess. I'll do it on my show a little bit.
Okay, that's a great tease. Tomorrow night, Bears Country Productions. BJ is going to tell the world what he's up to next, and I'll squeeze it in like a Easter egg. I'll say it somewhere during the next 2 hours to see if we can guess. And of course, the man that I love the most, I love kissing his cheeks and squeezing his ass, is Johnny Santucci. Tooch, how are you, man?
Doing good. Got a little snow last night and this morning. It was really cold today, man. But then, this weekend it's supposed to be 60s. So.
Oh, my goodness. That's that time of the year where the weather fluctuates 20, 30, 40 degrees. And Chicago is probably the best. At Fargo, so you got any snow on the ground there, Zim?
No, actually, today was gorgeous. I was, my family's back in Iowa, near Tooch. And, they got pummeled with snow and wind and nasty weather the last 24 hours. And I'm looking out my window here going, man, I should go outside.
Do the people talk funny like in that Fargo movie?
Some people actually do. Like, I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be like a farce. Like, I thought it was over the top. Like, every once in a while, like, even the people who talk normal, whatever, with not much of a dialect, you'll catch it from time to time in things that they'll say.
Oh, interesting.
It's very interesting. It's not like the Southern drawl where it's there 100% of the time, but every once in a while they go, what are you doing there, eh? And you're like, whoa, we're not that far north.
Right.
That's pretty wild. All right, guys, we're going to do Johnny's Santucci's Bear State of Affairs. But first, before we do that, let's just take a few minutes to talk about the two massive trades that Ryan Poles has committed over the past less than 48 hours. He acquires Jonah Jackson from the Los Angeles Rams, who had some had an excellent playing career with the Detroit Lions and was one of the highest priced free agent acquisitions by the Rams, expecting him to be the left guard, but he injured his shoulder and only played in a few games. They tried to move him to center because the guy that replaced him at left guard started playing really well. They put him at center. That didn't go well, and so he had a sort of a missing season. And then we acquired Joe Thuney, who we know is a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber player at the left guard position, and we also know from the Super Bowl is don't put him in at left tackle, right? Because that doesn't go very well. So let me go around the horn here and start with PJ and get his thoughts about what Ryan Poles has done to help improve this offensive line.
I think I like the effort. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of the execution.
Okay.
Meaning that you get a left guard in Jackson, where he plays his best football as left guard. Then you turn around and get an all-pro at left guard. So now you have basically two left guards. And can one of them switch to right? Possibly. But if I'm going to exert that much effort into trying to acquire a person through trades, why not get them at their best positions?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's going to have to suffer, be it Thuney or Jackson. Someone will have to suffer and give up their favorite position or their best position. And I like to see how that translates. And I'm never a fan of giving up future draft picks. I'm never a fan of that. That to me is always can be problematic.
Zim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I hear what PJ's saying, and it does make me wonder, like, did they just find good players that were available and decide to snag them just because, why not? Or is there a bigger plan here? I like that they're investing on the O-line, though, like, regardless of what they're doing, because these are moves that need to be made regardless. And frankly, Jackson might just be a depth guy. He's a really expensive depth guy, but like after what we saw last season, wouldn't you rather have an expensive depth guy than whatever the hell they put on the field last year? Like, so I'm generally just feeling positive about it because no matter which way you spin it, like they either will have a better line than last year or they will have a better line than last year. They're moving in the right direction. And at the end of the day, like that's what matters because we still haven't even gotten to the beginning of free agency. We haven't seen what's going to happen in the draft. We haven't seen what's going to happen in cutdowns in camp. Remember the Josh Sitton deal that wound up being 2 years of good offensive line play for the Bears from something that nobody saw coming up until maybe about a week before it happened. So, and beyond that, you've got the Jason Peters deal. You've also got the opportunities where it's failed though, like with Orlando Pace. So, we'll see what happens. But all in all, they're moving in the right direction, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Tooch, let me share a couple quick thoughts, and then we'll go into you and straight into Bears State of Affairs. I think that this was a look by Ryan Pace at the landscape of free agents, the fact that at the interior offensive line position, there weren't a lot of gems, so that's why he traded. And there has to be a high level of confidence from Ben Johnson in the guy he was offensive coordinator for a couple of years, or at least 1 year, and that's Jonah Jackson, and probably some confidence also that Jonah Jackson can play the right side, and so now the team can concentrate on the center position and potentially the left tackle position. So every move is risky. You could have the number 1 overall pick. We've seen it a million times. 100 times. The number 1 pick is a flop in the National Football League. You make a trade and you expect it to be profitable, productive, and it doesn't happen. Surefire players go to a new system, and who knows? But this to me is a good risk. Joe Thuney, he's going to the Hall of Fame, and hopefully Jonah Jackson can get back to that level of play. Tooch, it's all yours, brother.
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, you look at not only just free agency, but also the draft, and the Bears are sitting at 10. It's not really the strongest draft for offensive linemen, in my opinion. There's not really that many, if any, plug-and-play guys out there, And like you said, it's kind of a crapshoot with draftees, first-year players coming in and playing great, And what they needed was to solidify that offensive line because last year they gave up a lot of sacks, And a free agent landscape after Trey Smith got tagged after Trey Smith got tagged. They're like, well, we don't really have that many good choices. I kind of agree with PJ. I'm not a fan of trading away draft picks and stuff, but these two guys are arguably better than anything they draft at those draft picks. So I'm okay with it. If I mean, they needed guys in the offensive line. There's like 4 holes, man. So they made themselves better today.
Good. All right. Anybody want to rebut anything anyone else said?
I think the thing I always seem to hear, like the year before, it's always next year's draft, they're going to be good at the offensive line position. Then that year comes, then they say, well, they're not good at the offensive line position. It's like, well, where are they? I mean, I think there's still people to be had. You just got to be able to find it. I mean, because, I heard all last year when we was going into free agency, well, this is not the year to draft a offensive lineman. Next year be that draft. Now that this draft is approaching, I'm not just hearing Tooch, but I'm hearing other people say, well, there's not people in the draft to draft. I'm like, then why y'all keep saying it? And then when it comes, it's all of a sudden no longer there. I mean, and again, it's not no slight against Tooch, but I just heard it before. That's why I'm like, I don't get it. I think you do need to still draft an offensive guard early. You have to draft one early because Thuney is up there in age, and you don't know how reliable Jackson's going to be because he gives me the vibes of a Tevin 2.0 with his injuries.
Yeah. And I just want to comment on what Samuel says. You're not going to find a 6th-round pick better than Jonah Jackson and a 4th-round pick better than future Hall of Famer Joe Thuney. And that is true, but the issue is also that you have to consider is the salaries that those two players are bringing to the Chicago Bears. And so therefore, now you're going to have less financial resources because of the cap. It's going to be $50-some million to acquire players. And you're not acquiring guys who are going to play, particularly in Thuney's case, very long. He'll have 3, 4, maybe 5 more seasons, and then he'll go away. Zim, final thought? Yeah, exactly. Zim, any final thoughts before we go to Bears state of affairs?
Yeah, I just want to say, I understand the concerns about Jonah Jackson's injury history. The thing is, for anybody comparing him to Tevin Jenkins, I don't think that's a fair comparison because we've seen that Jonah Jackson can play at that Pro Bowl level. Excuse me. Tevin Jenkins is all projection, always has been, and as far as we can tell, always will be. He has not played more than 75% of snaps in any of his seasons in the NFL, whereas Jonah Jackson has in at least 4 seasons, I believe. And 1 or 2 bad injuries does not make you an injury-prone player. An injury-prone player is somebody who's being taken off the field seemingly every time they step onto it, which is what we saw with Tevin Jenkins. And that's the reason why they're going with a guy like Jonah Jackson, who, again, this trade can't go through if he doesn't pass a physical. So there's a real possibility here that, if his medicals don't clear, he is not actually a Chicago Bear. And that's why you go get a Joe Thuney as well. Because Thuney, he's good. He's missed 2 games in his career, right? So I feel like Thuney is not, I don't want to say he's insurance, but again, he is your starter for sure. No question. And it means you can make the questionable move. And I understand they did it the other way around. Whatever. Both moves have been done. So again, I get it. It's totally fair to be critical of a guy who only played 2 games last year, basically got benched and injured. But it happens all the time. It really does. I hate to point to Sam Darnold, for example, or Baker Mayfield, because it's a completely different position. It's a completely different situation. But Baker got hurt, then he got benched, then he was on scout team, and now he might be the best quarterback in his division. So, it just goes to show you don't really know what's going to happen. And I think it's totally fair to take a swing on talent, especially when you've brought a new coach into the building and it's somebody who has succeeded with this player before.
Yep.
And that new coach might have wanted that guy. I'll tell you
that's
that.
exactly.
He used to be on Detroit.
Exactly.
So,
and proven teachers at the coordinator and position coaches. The only guy who has not had a long track record among the coaches is the offensive coordinator, but we know that he's there just to do all of the grunt work that the coordinator usually does, because our head coach is going to be calling the plays. All right, Tooch, the stage is yours, brother. Let's roll that great open that you made or somebody made. And there it goes.
It was you.
Everyone on this show is a dog and a loser. Not John. He's the best except for me. Bullshit!
Yeah, I don't know how I keep coming up with these, but it ain't easy, Aldo. But yeah,
I bet it's not.
NFL offseason week 10. What's happening, Barflies? Yeah, well, the 2025 NFL free agency period is set to begin 1 week from today. Yeah, and this guy, man, he's been busy. Yeah, Ryan Poles and the Bears have started early, rebuilding their offensive line in real time. Let me break this down for you, Aldo. Yeah, last season, The Bears franchise quarterback was sacked 68 times. Yeah.
Oh,
Last year's offensive line, they were fired for laying down on the job.
Over and over again.
Yeah. So even though trade deals can't be made official till March,
Oops, sorry.
The Bears, they're already taking the steps needed to rebuild their offensive line, trading for not one but two veteran guards. Yeah, but since both players play left guard, PJ, the Bears fans are probably wondering which player's moving to right guard. Yeah, well, first, the Bears made a deal with the Los Angeles Rams, who will send veteran offensive lineman Jonah Jackson to the Bears in exchange for a 2025 sixth-round pick. And Jackson, 28, was recently granted permission by the Rams to seek a trade. He was limited to 4 games last year due to injuries, but even when he was healthy enough to return to the lineup, the Rams kept him on the bench. After the Rams were able to cobble together an offensive line that took the team to the second round of the playoffs, Jackson became expendable. Before last season, when Jackson signed a 3-year contract worth $51 million with the Rams, he was considered one of the top free agent offensive linemen available. Yeah, he'd established himself with the Detroit Lions, where he was a third-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Starting 57 games with Detroit, and his best season came in 2021, when he played in 100% of the snaps and earned a trip to the Pro Bowl. Between his past success in Detroit and a connection with Bears head coach Ben Johnson, it's easy to see why the Bears made the move to acquire Jackson. Not only that, but the Bears' 6th-round pick. Yeah, they'll send to Los Angeles for Jackson. That's a 6th-round pick that the Bears received from Pittsburgh for Justin Fields.
Wow.
So, in essence, the Bears traded Justin Fields for Jonah Jackson.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Makes sense.
PJ's over there with a loaded gun.
Yeah, but the Bears were not done rebuilding their offensive line. No, sir. In fact, today they made an even bigger offseason move. Yeah, today, according to NFL insiders Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, the Bears struck a deal for all-pro guard Joe Thuney of the Kansas City Chiefs for a 2026 4th-round pick. And while the Chiefs wanted to go with Trey Smith and move on from Thuney because of his age and financial concerns, yeah, the 32-year-old Thuney is still back in peak form. He hasn't missed a game over the last 2 seasons, and he's arguably better than any of the free agent options out there this season the Bears could have realistically signed. Last season, Thuney was a Pro Bowler and a first-team All-Pro. His 79.9 PFF grade was 12th out of 135 guards, and his 82.0 pass-blocking grade was 5th in the NFL. Not only that, but Thuney allowed 0 sacks and only had 1 penalty in 1,115 snaps. That's right. And, the Bears' 2 big offensive line splashes this week, that opens up the draft board for Ryan Poles, essentially to go after impact players at other positions. It's possible the Bears GM and his scouting staff felt that there weren't many plug-and-play offensive linemen in this year's drafts, and acquiring 2 veteran interior offensive linemen ultimately made more sense in the team's plan to protect their free agent for a franchise quarterback. And in other free agent news, Jeremy Fowler reported on Tuesday the Bears won't be tendering restricted free agent linebacker Jack Sanborn before free agency begins.
We don't give a fuck.
That's right, Heidi. Yeah. As a result, the Lake Zurich native and former Wisconsin Badger will be an unrestricted free agent next week. Sanborn has been the Bears' starting Sam linebacker the past 2 seasons and also had 7 starts at middle linebacker, where he had 71 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, and 3 quarterback hurries. Sanborn, 24 years old and a fan favorite, spent the last 3 seasons in Chicago after going undrafted in 2022. His reliable play and versatility made him one of the Bears' key linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Checking in with Sanborn stands on X, there were some crazy takes. Yeah. Yeah.
Get to work, Jacob.
Pixar, it didn't happen, Jacob. Yeah, but Sanborn's performance dipped in 2024. Veteran linebacker finished with only 17 solo tackles after recording a combined 93 in the previous 2 seasons. On top of that, he surrendered a career worst 118.7 passer rating on 9 targets, while also missing 7.9% of his tackling attempts. Additionally, Sanborn's Pro Football Focus grades in terms of coverage, 45.1, and overall defense, 63.1, were the worst efforts of his career. It's likely the Bears saw the direction his performance was trending and decided to cut ties before it was too late. His departure will leave a big hole in the Bears' linebacker core and likely signals the Bears will be looking for help at linebacker in free agency or the draft, and that's Bears' state of affairs.
Wow, that was good.
We're finished talking.
All right. Immediately after Bear State of Affairs, we like to comment on what Tooch said. Anything stand out, PJ, in terms of what Tooch said that you either want to take exception with or you want to give him a special attaboy?
You know what? Tooch is just a smooth brother. I go smooth brother.
I love you. I love you too, PJ.
Man, that was just smooth. I'm like listening to it going, you know what? This is a smooth brother right here.
Yeah, that was one of his smoothest performances. There
wasn't a lot of humor though this week, you know.
Yeah, but it was very well written. We should have led the show with that because you broke just about everything down. The only thing that you left out was the recent signings, or what is it, Hardy and another player,
right. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Yep,
yeah,
they were tendered their free agent offers.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Zim, any thoughts?
I do think that Murray move is notable, considering the fact that they made trades for 2 other players at his position the same day that they brought him in on a tender. They clearly liked the guy. I think fans really liked him last season when he had to come in a pinch. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's positive. As far as our Bears state of affairs go, man, you hit every point that I think we needed to touch on. If we want to expound on any of those, I totally think it's worth doing. But if you're looking for your 5-minute condensed recap, that was it.
Thanks, brother. I do want to ask you guys some questions that I thought about while writing Bears state of affairs and the fact that Ryan Poles signed a couple offensive linemen. Not that he's not good at spotting offensive line talent for a former offensive line, but maybe he is. But anyways, it opens up the draft for him to draft other positions. Mm-hmm. Now, running back seems to be one that everyone's talking about. And this is a very, very deep draft at running back. However, there's been a ton of talk about Ashton Junty at 10. And then, they're going to need a linebacker now. There's only a few linebackers left after Sanborn's departure and one opening starting position. And then, of course, wide receiver might be a target, and there's only one tight end on the roster. So he'll obviously make some more splashes in free agency with that giant, $50 million chunk left. But those 2 guards have 8-figure salary cap hits, each one over 10 million. Thuney is like 16 or 17 million. Mm-hmm. Jackson's like 12 million. So, I mean, those 2 guards are going to eat up a big chunk of our free agent salary cap hits. But in the draft, I mean, it's a deep draft for tight ends, running backs, linebackers. Defensive line is deep too. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Is Poles making an angling for taking care of some of those deep positions in this year's draft?
I know I'm of the belief that Poles is going to probably try to address every position in free agency and then go after best player available in the draft.
Yep.
So I heard the rumor. I think Carl from Thigh and Smy sent me a photograph of that the Washington Commanders may be releasing Jonathan Allen. So if they release him, I'm a fan of his. We pick him up in free agency. Now we don't have to have a defensive tackle right off the bat. I mean, once one's there available and he's the best there, we can, but it's not like something we have to press on to get. So I see him doing that type of thing where he's trying to still gather other positions. I can even see him going after a move tight end in Ingram from Jacksonville. I think he's a free agent. Or Pitts from Atlanta, either one of them. So I could see him going after somebody like that. But as far as running back, we will have to get one in the draft. Where? I don't think in the first round, but second
neither
round.
do I. It's so deep.
Yeah, I think a second round possibly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not worth it to draft a running back that high in this draft.
Yep.
As great as Janty is, probably a generational type talent, could be your next Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. It's going to suck to miss on him because I don't think he's best player available when you
At
consider
10.
the roster and what's going to be there at 10. Best player available doesn't just mean the best overall player on your board, because positional need does weigh into that at least a little bit, right? If you have 4 running backs on the roster, you're not going to draft a running back just for the sake of drafting a running back, you know? And I think that's totally a position that the Bears could be in with a lot of guys that Ben Johnson probably likes becoming available, with Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, just to name a couple off the top of my head. And then later in the draft, you know, into the second or third round, there's Cam Scatterbo, Caleb Johnson, Quinshawn Judkins, you know, all kinds of guys. And the guy from Ohio State as well. Probably going to
Travion Henderson.
Travion, thank you. He's probably going to be there all the way to
North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Hampton.
And that's just it. So why stretch? As much as I'd love to see it, if Will Campbell is available at 10, you better be sprinting to the podium, in my opinion. Guy, he is the future of the position on the Bears. Aldo, you're on mute. I missed what you said.
Or would you plug him in at left tackle, draft him at 10, and then send him out to left tackle?
I'd draft him at 10 and just see what he can do.
Okay.
I wouldn't put him anywhere. I would put him on the field and let him show me where he needs to go. You know, whether that's at guard and you put Thuney at center, whether that's at tackle and Braxton Jones becomes your swing, whether that's at right guard because Jonah Jackson gets hurt again, you know. Campbell has the diversity to play in different spots on the line. And Joe Thuney in his career has played at all 5 positions on the line. And he's done it with a rapport of other all-pro players next to him and all-pro quarterbacks behind him. So he knows his positioning. He knows what he needs to do. And I think that he can provide that. And if you go in and draft Will Campbell at 10, you have a day one starter on your offensive line. It's up to him to tell you where. So I think it's too good of a player to pass up. And I don't think the Bears have the, what's the word? They don't have, I don't know. They can't make another luxury pick. They can't make another luxury pick is what I'm trying to say here, though.
Yeah.
They made a luxury pick with Rome Odunze last year. And it was awesome. Rome's a great player. But you made that luxury pick. You don't get to do that 2 years in a row when you still have holes all over your roster.
And a punter in the 4th round is a luxury pick, too.
I don't actually think so, considering how much he was used last year.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the guy is definitely an excellent player. But
let's put it this way: would you rather have had Trenton Gill out there for 17 games last year?
No,
because I think he would have cost the Bears at least 2 of those games.
Those were not the only choices. There were other punters out there. The thing is you had to see that there were some offensive linemen who you could potentially select and develop.
Yes. No, I completely agree with that.
You can't at this state of the Chicago Bears, especially after you've drafted a new quarterback, you gotta bring in offensive line help and not rely on guys like Ryan Bates and Bill Murray, unproven guys.
Does this feel to anyone else kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals sophomore season with Joe Burrow, where they kind of threw him out to the Wolves and he got like demolished in a rookie season?
Super Bowl, yeah.
And then he goes to a Super Bowl in his second season because they just like put a team around him.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I'm kind of getting from this offseason, where it's like, all right, we did not do a good enough job setting up our rookie quarterback. We're going to do that this time. We're going all in. We're making it happen.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
PJ. No, please go ahead.
No, I was actually hoping that we would be making a trade for McCoy from the Saints as much as we need a center. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Thuney. I think, he all pro, great guy. But after getting Jackson, I'm like, okay, can we address the center position? Because we're going to need a center who's more of a power center as opposed to a move center and like Dahlman, because Dahlman is light. He's very light, and he's not going to be the one they want in this offense. So I don't expect them to go after him at all.
He's going to be expensive too.
Right. So I'm thinking that they're going to need a center who's going to be weighing about 315 or more, and who's going to be more of a power center. And I don't see
center is deep in this draft. There's some good players.
But how good are they though?
Yeah.
Because I don't hear talk about them like I did with JP last year.
Yeah. It's not probably not the Bears' strategy to go with a rookie center.
But my question becomes, because Chip Kelly runs that motion type offense, is he going to want to keep JPJ there? And if not, can we go and get him with the Raiders? Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, he's not that move center. I mean, he's a bigger guy, so I don't know if he fits into that scheme that Chip Kelly is going to want to do. And if he doesn't, Poles need to be on the phone and say, hey, let me take him off your hands for you.
And he was a second-round pick last year, I think.
Second-round pick.
I think that unless, guys like Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, and Travis Miller fall to number 10, you've got to make a trade down. Now, those guys are not going to fall to number 10. So I would be working the phones with every team that selects after us and bring up contingencies. Hey, would you be interested in trading up to number 10? If so, this is what we would expect back in return. If they're talking to the Atlanta Falcons who pick 15, they should let them know this is what we want back in return. And then call the next team and call the next team and call the next team. And so when the NFL draft happens and all of a sudden they said the Chicago Bears are on the clock, if the players that I mentioned earlier, and I might include Campbell in there just to make Steven Zimmerman a little happy, but if neither of those players is there, then I want to trade down because I know I'm going to get outstanding value in the middle of the first round, plus potentially add a third, second rounder. My team is going to be stacked. Potentially 4 rookies that you're selecting in the first 2 rounds who are going to have major contributors to the Chicago Bears and perhaps even starters. And now also we're going to talk free agency. There's money to be spent because we've got some $40-50 million still left in the cap that we can invest in quality players. This team's roster, when Ryan Poles last year said, that's going to be really hard to make our team. Yeah, you weren't really right about that. But this year, you can say it with confidence if the next, 6-8 weeks bear fruit the way I think they potentially can.
Yes.
And what about Ryan Bates?
He is still on the team.
Still on the team, but maybe they're planning on giving him a shot at center.
He was supposed to be the center.
I think that's a great point, too, because it's hardly talked about the center position. He was brought in here basically last year to be the center. He's still on the contract, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. One more year.
Yeah.
But what about his injury, though? Because did he not think about retiring because of his arthritic shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would be so Bears if he retired.
It really would be.
Guy retires, leaves us with a giant hole.
Keep the soap away from Joe Tootie right now. I don't want him slipping on anything. But what's also interesting, PJ, and I think this I included this in the pregame videos from the local media. And maybe I didn't. Braxton Jones. Oh, no, yeah, I didn't. Tom Thayer said that he's really worried about Braxton Jones because the ankle injury that he suffered late in the season could take a long time to rehab. And then you're going to place him in that left tackle where in the off season, he should have been gaining more strength in his core, and he can't work out because of that ankle injury. Yep. So it made me think, and so the question for the three of you and people in the chat, it made me think, does that make the left tackle position much more valuable? And so Will Campbell, potential left tackle, Josh Simmons, now he may be may not be able to play until the middle of the season, but does he at 10, or if he trade back a little bit, he's there, is he the ideal pick? Because then you've got Josh Simmons, if he fulfills his potential, Joe Thuney at center, maybe it's Drew Dahlman, maybe it's Bates, what have you. At right guard, we got Jackson, and at right tackle, Darnell Wright. I think that's a top 10 offensive line if everybody plays to their capabilities. What do you guys think about a left tackle, and in particular, Josh Simmons?
I think you gotta be on the lookout for them signing a guy like Ronnie Stanley, plugging a veteran out there. They still have salary cap room, and then draft.
How old is Stanley?
He's 33, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay. So that puts you in a similar situation as Thuney, where you're probably still drafting for.
You're still drafting a left tackle, like someone like Cam
Robinson. I wouldn't
Josh
mind
Simmons. You could still trade back and draft the Josh Simmons, or if Will Campbell is there, you draft him, and he's kind of like he could fill in. He played left tackle at LSU last year. I know they project him at guard because of his arm length.
I don't see Poles touching Campbell. No disrespect to him, but
no, I completely understand. He probably suits better as guard.
Yeah, and I don't see him because he refused to put Jenkins at guard with longer arms. I mean, at tackle because of longer arms. So Campbell, I don't see that happening. But I do think we need to address left tackle. I agree with that part of it, because this is the last year of his contract anyway. So we need to think about the future. Whether or not they do it at 10, don't know.
The Bears called a guy that was out fishing and was like 40 years old to play left tackle.
Hey, and he played 4 more seasons after that.
You know,
the guy was like, maybe I still can do this.
Yeah, he just retired. So
I like Simmons. I think I like Kelvin Banks just as much as Simmons as well. I do think there's a lot of options there at 10 if the Bears see the value there. And if not, I think that trade down is a totally real option with guys like Gray Zabel possibly coming in to be your center.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
My sleeper pick for the Bears this year in the draft, somebody you might see them draft in like, let's see, do they still have a 4th round pick, or do they just have the 6th now?
Yeah, you got.
So if he tumbles all the way to the 6th, or if they like him enough to make an Austin Booker type trade.
Well, they got a 5th.
They do have a 5th. I like Jonah Monheim. Jonah Monheim, center out of USC, played a lot with Caleb Williams for 2 years as his center. This is a man who immediately has rapport with your quarterback, is probably a developmental style player who is already projected to be anywhere between a 4th and 6th round pick, and plays that hard-nosed, tough, rough and tumble style of football.
He is a bigger guy too. It was like 6'5", 315.
I'm telling you, I think he's somebody really worth keeping an eye on in the draft for the Bears. If it wasn't for his background with Caleb Williams, I probably wouldn't even think about him.
I would not be surprised if they.
But he played for 2 years with them. 2 years.
Yeah, it's a great point, Zim. I agree.
It's so tempting to me.
I like the player too.
It's the same reason I wanted them to grab Brendan Rice, like in the 6th last year. It's just like, free rapport for a guy who's probably at the back end, developmental kind of guy, but has all
but what's wrong with trading a 4th round pick for Keenan Allen to rent him for 1 year, Zim?
I think I don't know. You weren't competing last year. I think I'd rather have Brendan Rice than Keenan Allen, to be completely honest with you guys, because it also improves Roma Dunze's potential development path.
Agreed.
Allen was fantastic last year. He was a huge safety outlet for Caleb Williams, and maybe that was really worthwhile.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Keenan Allen, right?
I'll put it this way. With the way the veteran free agent market for wide receiver is shaping up, his deal might be getting a lot more team friendly.
A lot more affordable. I mean, Devontae Adams got released. Tyler Lockett got released. So Tyler Lockett would be a good guy to plug into that
Metcalf
slot.
Possibly going in for a trade. Stephon Diggs is now going to be a free agent. He's not re-signing there. So, I mean, if
Ben
you could
Johnson,
get Keenan Allen on a cheap deal.
Ben Johnson's looking at the roster, and he's saying, God, I wish I had a Jahmyr Gibbs type. That's why there's all this Ashton Jonty talk. And I think it is a possibility. I wouldn't do it.
I think Swift can be that player. I really do.
Also, the Bears need to get a little speedier at wide receiver, somebody that can take the top off the defense. You know, like
Adunze can do that.
The Chiefs had Xavier Worthy last year who took the top off. They can address that in free agency as well, but they have to add some players at free agency to do the kind of things that Ben Johnson wants to do.
To kind of bring this conversation towards Ben Johnson and away from free agency just for a moment. Do you three not think that DJ Moore is a perfect Amon-Ra type player in this offense? And Rome Odunze is a perfect Jameson Williams type player in this offense? And Cole Kmet is a perfect Sam Laporta type player? And I know he's not as fast, but he can be just as gadgety. And if you need somebody, they have a Tyler Scott on the team who is plenty fast. Yeah. He's a lot smaller, that's for sure.
I'll say this.
I think there's a possibility. That's all I'm trying to throw out there.
Don't throw me out, Aldo, but I just have to say, I just think that Velus Jones with a Ben Johnson,
man,
with a trick play about a play for him, 4 plays a game.
Yeah,
that would be beautiful to see.
Yep.
Right. Yeah,
Austin mentions Tutu Atwell. I do like that.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell is a fast. He can play with the Rams, and so he's very fast and can play that slot wide receiver position. I'd like to see the team acquire 2 types of slot players. One that is a burner, so that way you get Rome and DJ working the outside, doing all sorts of different pass patterns. And then I'd also like to see a big body slot guy, who can pick up those 6 yards on a crossing pattern and not worry about the linebacker bearing down on him because he's just going to lower the shoulder and inflict penalty. But yeah, the slot wide receiver, running back. By the way, before we go on to anything, Tooch said something in Bears State of Affairs, and now Bearski is after PJ with the idea that Justin Fields was essentially traded for a 6th-round pick for who is it that we acquired?
Jonah Jackson.
With Jonah Jackson. Now, how do you feel about that, PJ?
I'll say this. I really believe they did Justin wrong.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to take that to my grave.
Yeah, yep. I'm with you.
And the fact that he's now, because Pittsburgh didn't want to give up a 4th, they made sure that he didn't get enough snaps played last year. So now you're even further stunning his growth. And it's like opportunities missed. I don't know about you guys in your personal lives, but in my personal life, I have had opportunities missed as well.
Sure.
And that's why it resonates so much with me, because you had an opportunity, but then, he gets here. He has a messed up coach in Nagy. That's his first year wasted. Next year, you get a new coach comes in, and then they're rebuilding and they're taking all his weapons away. So that's another year wasted. I mean, all these opportunities wasted, and he's a good guy. I mean, I just look at him and it's like, he's a good guy, talented guy. I wish he would have been here with Ben Johnson from the beginning, and we would be having a whole different conversation. So I really feel sorry for him. It's like a nephew of mine that I'm just like, oh man, bro, you just got screwed.
Yeah, completely agree.
But I think they gave him a choice of places they could trade him to, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but
they tried to.
No,
yeah, he wanted Pittsburgh, but the fact that Pittsburgh sat there and was like, well, we'll give you a 6, but if he plays X amount of plays, we'll give you a 4th. Yeah. Now Pittsburgh taking, well, we're going to make sure he don't play over 6 games or so because we don't want to make sure we give up that 4th. That's what they did. I mean, let's just be honest.
They already had Russell, and with the promise to Russell that he was going to be the starter. And so they sort of had to keep that promise. And, Russell came out of the gates playing really well. He won a nationally televised game. I think it was a Monday night game in his first start. Had a really slow start to his performance. But then in the 3rd and 4th quarter, he really brought it on. And they were playing well under Russell Wilson until the last 3 games of the season that they lost, and they lost the first game of the playoffs.
That's what I said.
And they should have brought Justin in. They should have brought Justin in. Yes.
But they refused to. That's what I'm saying. Because they like, well, we don't want to give up this force. So now, Russell, you ain't playing so well. But yeah, we'll stay with you.
Yeah, I'll be following Justin to see where he ends up next year. I'm definitely curious. And I mean, there's only so many starting spots available. But I mean, just to go back on that for a moment, there's so many players like that in NFL history. So many guys that, like, if they just wound up in a better situation, we'd be talking about, I can't. They wash out so quick. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But
hats off to Baker Mayfield because
that's
it was similar to him because they was giving up on him. He bounced around for a couple of years and then he found his home in Tampa Bay. So good for him. And I'm hoping that can happen to Justin, believe it or not.
How about Zach Wilson, man? Same draft.
Yeah. Right. But there are a lot of factors that help players become successful, especially at the quarterback position, right? Yeah. You got, Baker Mayfield, I think, really did himself a disservice his first 2-3 years in the league because he really wasn't ready to do what NFL quarterbacks do. He wasn't preparing. He wasn't really into it. He was partying and having a good time and so forth. And those were the concerns before he was drafted, and he lived up to them in his first few years as a pro. But then also you need a good head coach who is a leader of men, who is going to have a system in place with a great culture and great play calling and all this and all that. And then you need a great offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and so forth. The quarterback position is the most important position, but it's also the most dependent on the coaching staff and teammates. And, if you don't get that, we saw it with Caleb. Everybody here knows. I mean, maybe there's a couple of idiots out there, but everybody knows that Caleb Williams is an enormously talented player, enormously talented. If he would have had the coaching and he would have had the offensive line and he would have had a few other things, all of this nervousness about whether he's going to be the one and so forth would have gone away. You look at the stats at just the way they are with all the deficiencies the team had. And this guy, you had a, blow your socks off type of season. It may not seem that
something wrong with the coaching last year, Aldo?
No, Mr. Evans, no. I gotta admit, he looks pretty damn happy in that picture, man.
Good for him.
The guy is happy.
Get paid to not coach the Bears.
Yeah, I was gonna say. He's getting paid $7.5 million a year to do the same thing we're doing, and that's not coaching the Chicago Bears.
I love it.
I think that even when you look at Justin and you look at the guy for the Eagles, Hurts, they're not much of a difference. I mean, as far as talent wise, so I can't
totally agree.
When I hear people tell me that, Justin is this buster, and I'm like, nah, he just don't have the right things around him. And Justin or Hurts just proved that last year. So, man.
I got to do a mea culpa on Hurts because I was like, I don't think he's that good, man.
I wanted the Bears to draft him in the second round.
Really played good, man. The end of last season.
He impressed me at Alabama just because of his professionalism, his comportment, and then after Alabama, he played well at Oklahoma. Thank you. And then I saw him down at the Senior Bowl. He didn't play. He just showed up one day, but it was because he was involved with something that was much more important personally, and people were just talking about his character and stuff. And I love the way he played in college football. I really wanted him as a second round because I think you got to keep that pipeline going, and we got a good backup now in the young kid, but I wouldn't mind them picking up a 7th round quarterback or undrafted free agent and just keep feeding that pipeline. You might get lucky.
They still have Austin Reed. Right?
Yeah, that's on the practice squad. Great story, Austin Reed.
I won't be surprised if Tyson Bagent does end up being moved this year because it's the last year of his rookie, his UDFA deal, and there's always some needy team.
Is it
3 years? 3 years?
3 years for rookie, undrafted free agent.
Undrafted is 3 years, drafted is 4.
I wanted to comment on the Baker Mayfield point. With Baker, it's the classic late blooming quarterback. But when he went to Tampa Bay, he really, they're throwing to a Hall of Fame wide receiver, Mike Evans.
Oh my gosh.
They have decent skill position play at tight end and running back. And you know, Chris Godwin doesn't hurt either on the other side.
Exactly.
And then fairly decent offensive line that played well last year. And then Liam Cohen, of course, who ended up parlaying that into a head coaching gig in Jacksonville. But and then you saw the same thing kind of with the late bloom of Sam Darnold, who arguably will get a decent sized contract this offseason. You may not agree with me on that, but there's always a shortage of quarterbacks. And there's still teams looking for quarterbacks. You know, I don't know whether he'll get another. I think he'll get another starting gig.
I think the thing that resonates for me more than anything is when I heard Rich Gannon, I believe, was talking to CHGO at the Super Bowl, and they interviewed him, and he said the biggest credit to his career was when John Gruden sought him out and said, "I want you as my quarterback," knowing that this coach believed in him, put the structure around him. That's how he was able to go to Oakland and succeed so well. That's what these quarterbacks need. They really need a coach, coordinator to really believe in them and say, look, we're going to make this work. And that's what he did. And I think if Fields would have that, and as well as many of these other, like even Darnold, nobody would have thought Darnold would have had a career like he just had last year. I mean, he kind of fell, tailed off towards the end of the year, but man, during that year, it's like, wow, Darnold was like this. You couldn't told nobody.
He put together a nice season.
Great insight, Coach. Yeah. All right, so here is what I want to do, because one of the things that was talked about a lot in the media this morning and this afternoon was that the Bears are creating an offensive line that is going to really lean on the rushing game. So if that is true, who are we going to get to bolster the rushing attack? It appears like DeAndre Swift isn't going anywhere. Ben Johnson talked highly of him, and he had some good numbers with Ben Johnson in the one year that he played under Ben Johnson, Swift did. And so now everyone here seems to think, correct me if I'm wrong, that Genty in the first round is too rich and that we should perhaps get out of our two second rounders, maybe a running back there, or wait to the third rounder. You can even wait to day 3, but it's probably going to be somebody with a little bit more risk in some aspect of his game. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you want to draft like an Omarion Hampton or one of the two guys from Ohio State in the second round? If they are there, at least two of those guys will be there. A Devin Neal, a Cameron Scatterboo, some of those big backs that probably are going to go in day 2 now, because everybody in the NFL is in love with running the ball after what Saquon did last year. Tony May has already thrown Caleb Johnson's name into the hat. So why don't we just go around? There you go. Go around the table here. Tooch, let's start with you. What do you think about the running back position?
Well, would it surprise you guys that the Bears signed one in free agency and also drafted one? Because it wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me at
all. They only have 2 on the roster. Of course,
there's there's the hangovers, right? The Travis Homers, the Ian Wheelers, the Darrington Evanses of the world. But none of those guys are going to light the Bears roster on fire or the rushing attack, become all of a sudden great. But for a guy who's going to touch the ball maybe 20 times a game, I don't mind investing a second round pick, but it is a very deep running draft. There's some quality players you could get, third, fourth, fifth, even undrafted free agents, man. If you're looking for a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to just be your, home run hitter, there are some guys like that. I mean, look at the Virginia Tech kid, that dude, former sprinter, Bashal Tootin, that dude. You want to add speed, that's the guy. If you want to add a workhorse back, Omarion Hampton, you might have to go to trade back into the first round for him. Somebody might. I look at the Chiefs at 32, man. I'm thinking Omarion Hampton on the Chiefs would be a pretty good look there. I don't think he makes it past 32, to be honest. And then Caleb Johnson could tote the rock. 20. He gets better as the game goes on. I watch a lot of Iowa football. And then you're looking at other guys like the 2 Ohio State kids. Those either one of those guys could be Bell Cowback. Judkins a little bigger. and Henderson a little faster. But Judkins, he doesn't lack for speed either.
I like Judkins. I like Judkins as like a David Montgomery type player. Man.
Yeah, he punish you in the second half of games, man.
And people forget, David Montgomery was a 3rd round pick and came in and was a day 1 starter. These running backs are still available, and that was considered a weak running back class too. These guys, I think, are better as prospects than David Montgomery was, and they're going to be asked to come in and fill a similar role for a team.
Yep.
The thing that I think that we're all running with a little bit too much is we're looking at the Sonic and Knuckles roles. The Detroit Lions offense that Ben Johnson has point blank said he's not running. That's not going to be the Chicago Bears. That was the Detroit Lions. Good. Let it be the Detroit Lions, because frankly, it sucks and can get exposed in the second half pretty easily. But that's a whole other thing.
Aldo's muted, Aldo.
I was just going to say, only because the Lions have a quarterback that cannot extend plays, which is why Ben Johnson came here. You're
absolutely right. You're absolutely
right. His favorite thing about Caleb Williams is extending the play and getting an explosive down the field.
The quarterback might be the biggest hamper on the Detroit Lions, aside from maybe that linebacking group that I think is severely overrated. Much like a lot of people think that the Bears are too. So we'll see if the Bears do anything to fix that linebacking core that they're making.
And your point about him not having the Lions playbook is a lot of sense, but typically most NFL teams have a lightning and thunder type running back room.
And that's the point that I am trying to get ultimately to, is that DeAndre Swift is the lightning. Whether you think he has the breakaway speed or whatnot, he is your pass catching outside runner.
He's pretty fast.
Well, he is. He absolutely is. But he does get chased down a little bit too. A little bit, I think that they're looking for the bigger bruising kind of guy, and that's what makes me think about A.J. Dillon, J.K. Dobbins, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, or, in the draft, a Cam Scatterbo, a Quinshon Judkins, That's why I lean that way towards it. I like Judkins personally out of that whole group, probably the best, because he's the fastest and the meanest. I like the way he plays. He reminds me a lot of David Montgomery. Yep. And the only reason I don't say Caleb Johnson is because I don't think he's going to be there. I really don't think the Bears are going to have a shot at Caleb Johnson unless they maneuver around into the low 20s, high 30s to get him, which is totally possible with the picks that they've got. But
he didn't run that well at the combine. He was like 4.5, 4.6, right around there, which, there's guys who've ran that before and have been, fine in the NFL.
That's just it. His game speed is 4.2. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think they would gamble on a first round pick with a guy who's running a 4.6.
I agree.
3.
Yep.
But I think that's where you might have to be to get him is the thing.
Yeah. I'm of the belief, and I got to give shout out to Carl from Thigh and Smile again. He said Omarion Hampton a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the more and more I see this guy, the more and more I'm like, you know what? That guy's a ball player.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we get him late in the first or if we can get him early in the second, great. But that guy's a player to go with that thunder and lightning sort of thing. But I was always a fan of Henderson.
He's both. He's thunder and he's lightning.
Yes, he really is.
Yes.
He's like 220 pounds.
Yeah, man. And when I saw him, I'm like, and he got some speed to him. I'm like, this guy is a player, but I'm not trying to, spend a first on him. But I like the two from Ohio State.
You like Henderson?
Oh, yeah. Henderson, he was my first choice. But then after I started watching a little bit of Judkins, I was like, okay, he's good too. But that Henderson
is good, man.
He just takes up, because I actually seen a game where
I'm fine with him too. He's awesome.
Yeah, and he's a good pass protector. Henderson is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Both those guys catch the ball out of the backfield too. Both those Ohio State running backs.
I just don't know if Henderson and Swift can coexist. But that reminds me also that as soon as after the draft, they got rid of Swift. And Ben Johnson got rid of Swift. So
after 1 year,
yeah. I don't know did he actually play under Ben Johnson?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
He had
So-
about 1,200 total yards and was split almost exactly the same with receiving and rushing.
Yeah, but they got rid of him. So I'm like, so is Ben Johnson really a fan of Swift?
They didn't cut him though. They let him leave in free agency. I think.
No,
right?
they
Didn't
traded.
No, they traded
They
him.
traded him.
It was a
Yeah.
trade, yeah.
It was
For
a
us?
trade.
First round pick, I think.
Yeah, they drafted Gibbs in the first round, and after they drafted Gibbs, they traded him. But
Oh,
in
to
that
the
same
for the
offseason,
Eagles?
yeah, in that same
Okay.
offseason, they picked up Montgomery in free agency.
Was the Eagles let him leave in free agency, or did they cut him?
Yeah.
No, they let him go in free
Yeah.
agency.
Right,
The
since
same-
contract was over.
and they
Right.
signed Saquon.
And the knock on Swift, and we all know it, we saw him played last year, is that he's not going to run between the tackles with any high level of force. And he can get outside and he can make great plays when he gets out into open field. But if you want a tackle who is going to get you those tough yards, you cannot depend on him, which is why I think that, they could go after a Hampton or a Henderson, because with the thought that one more year for Swift and then one of these guys is going to be the bell cow back. But they also could just decide that Swift is going to be the guy, but we are going to bring in a power back who could eventually take over the number one role, and then we'll find a fast back to be the backup, and interchange the roles.
Right.
And this is a great draft. And you got Tooch said I wouldn't be surprised if they signed a free agent and drafted one. I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted 2 running backs.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, and this is a great year
That's
to do.
crazy. Yep.
This is a great year.
Yeah, there's some definitely good players. Even late round, man, there's some
Mhm.
good guys. I mean,
Man.
have you guys seen number 2 on Florida, Montrell Johnson?
No, I haven't.
Guy
really
ran a
studied him.
4.40. He's like Neil Anderson too. He's not a smaller guy too.
Mhm.
Wow.
He's a
Wow.
good ball player. Watch him. Barrelissimo and I both like him. He ran so good at the combine. He might not be an undrafted free agent anymore. But
Yeah.
check him out. Number 2 on Florida. The Gators.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears reunite those Ohio State guys together.
Yeah.
Henderson and
That would
Judkins,
be
man.
something.
That'd be
Do you
That'd be
draft him
nice.
at 39 and 41 back to
So
back?
are we writing off Roshan Johnson? Because he
I'm
was
not writing
automatic
him
on
off.
the goal line.
Yeah, he's
He was
automatic. He's automatic.
on the goal line.
Concussions too. I mean,
That's exactly it.
That's the problem.
The
I think
Bears.
Roshan might write himself off
Yeah.
if he gets another one.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think the Bears, and probably you can say this for almost maybe every NFL team, they bring in backs who are power backs, but they don't have that power back structure, that body,
Right.
I remember Raymond Harris. I was a big fan of Raymond Harris.
Oh yeah.
But towards the end of the season,
the
I said to
ultra back.
myself, this guy, he ain't gonna last long. The way he plays so hard, man. He would get up slowly after a 5-yard gain, and I'm like, wow. And another guy was Marty Booker, one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. They used to kill him. It was like the offensive corner says, "Watch out, he's gonna get hit on this pass over the middle." Diabolical. I want to see how much Marty can take. Over the middle, bam. Over the middle, bam. The guy was tough, and he had hands the size of my basement, and he could catch anything. He was sensational.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I would love to
Anthony
see.
Thomas was another guy like that.
Yeah, and the
Raymond
thing about
Harris.
Cam Scatterboot too is that he's had a number of concussions in college too. So while he's a
Yeah.
tremendous athlete, did you see how high he jumped at the combine? He had one of the highest vertical
39
leaps.
and a half inches.
That is amazing for a guy of his size. So there's some great options. Now, the other position that I'd love to get your input on, and same thing with the chat, is the tight end position. Cole Kmet is they got 2
So
other
deep.
guys.
There's
Yeah.
so many good tight
There
ends.
are some good ones. And so if you guys heard of a tight end in college that you'd like to target in free agency, there's hardly anything. And when I looked real quickly before the show,
Danny Shimon, he likes the Mason Taylor, LSU.
Yeah, I
He's,
love him too.
He's Jason Taylor's kid,
Hmm.
former Dolphin defensive end.
Yes, he plays
pass
with a
rusher.
great attitude. Oh my
Yep,
gosh, he
good
is
player.
special. Yeah, I got a little bit of tape on him, I think, from
There's
yesterday's show.
Elijah Arroyo of the Hurricanes.
This is look at Taylor run this
He's
gauntlet
smooth,
drill
man. He is
straight
smooth.
down the line, man.
I love
Doesn't
him.
deviate from it whatsoever. Pretty good. Who was the other guy you mentioned too?
Elijah Arroyo. We're talking about speed
Yeah.
at the tight end position. This dude has it,
Yeah.
man. You want to talk about opening up the game for some speed? This is the dude. Had some injury histories, but man, he is fast. There's not a linebacker that can cover him.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see him in a Bears uniform. I would be surprised if they draft a tight end and sign a tight end. Aldo and I talked about bringing Zach Ertz in for Chicago, who's a steady veteran presence.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, with that Pitts or Ingram, I'm intrigued by both of those guys.
Ingram intrigues me too. Pitts, we've been waiting for years for Kyle Pitts to break out. He hasn't done much.
Well, his first year, he had over 1,000 yards. Then after that, he kind of never reached that again.
It wasn't terrible last year. But.
Yeah, just put him as our secondary tight end. He's a matchup nightmare, man. 6'6" is he? Tough to guard.
Another guy with speed is that Colston Loveland, Michigan tight end. He's more like a big wide receiver. Yeah, not the best blocker, but another guy that can open up the passing game.
Right. Your co-commit would be your inline blocker, and then a guy like Colton would be your move tight end. Yep. And Ben Johnson will have a freaking field day with that kind of talent. Yep. If you got another tight end like what's his name, Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network threw out the name Tyler Warren. The best tight end. He could be another Brock Bowers. He said, with these acquisitions the Bears are making in free agency, that might give them the latitude to add somebody like Warren. And can you imagine then Warren and Kmet on 2 tight end sets, and Rome Odunze and DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift? That is a highly, highly talented team that could be together for several years. Yep. It's an intriguing thought. Now, I know we want to work on the trenches, but man, hard to pass up, especially if you're getting good offensive linemen.
Well, Brock Bowers made that all a possibility. He had a fantastic season.
Super.
I like the idea of Tyler Warren in the first round a lot more than I like the idea of Ashton Janty. I'll tell you that much. Just because
I agree with that.
of the evolution of today's game.
Yeah.
As far as free agency goes, there are actually a handful of guys that I would strongly consider.
Okay. Who you got?
I got. Where did I have it? I just lost him. Irv Smith.
Okay.
Irv Smith from Houston spent some time in Atlanta as well. Only 26 years old and has 6 crazy. NFL seasons under his belt. He is absolutely a worthwhile guy who's used to that number 2 role. I think he'd absolutely be a great pickup.
He was played at Alabama, Irv Smith?
Yes. And then friend of Jaquan Brisker, Tommy Tremble, is set to be a free agent.
Notre Dame kid.
I think he'd genuinely be a good pickup. He's a huge body. He can catch the ball.
Excellent special teamer. Yeah.
That's it. He doesn't move particularly well in space, but you don't need your tight end to. You know what he can do really well? Get 5 yards downfield, turn around, and catch a ball.
Sometimes that's all you need.
That's what, especially out of your backup tight end.
Yep.
And he's only 25 years old, as I mentioned. I think he's a really good name to keep an eye on. And lastly, I had the guy from Green Bay, Tyler Davis, guy who was in line to get some rotational play from them before they went out and got their other 2 tight ends that they have now. He was a guy that a lot of Packers fans were high on, and he just kind of fizzled out again because they drafted 2 other guys to be in front of him. Another very quality special teams player, probably going to be really cheap. We're talking possibly even a vet minimum kind of deal. So I think he's a good player to keep an eye on, and I think he's kind of a sleeper guy for any team that might grab him. But those are 3 guys that I really like that are still young, that you could foreseeably give a 3 to 5 year deal to and not really regret it, and still be really cheap, rather than taking a 1 year deal on Austin Hooper or Zach Ertz or Mike Gesicki or somebody like that.
What about Juwan Johnson? It says here on NFL.com, the former wideout had moments of brilliance with the Saints, although he struggled to stay consistent. Don't be surprised if Sean Payton over at Denver goes after him. What do you think about? What do you guys think about Juwan Johnson, pass catcher?
I think he's an amazing fit in Denver, to be completely honest. I actually really like that fit as soon as they said it. He's a good inline tight end for sure, though. He can come off the line. He can stay in and block. He can take those short routes. He does crossers pretty well. I don't know a ton more about him. I don't know much about his blocking ability or his speed, but I mean, if he fits in the offense, he fits in the offense. I think it'd be worth it. I'll put it this way. If Ben Johnson wanted to sign him, I wouldn't be mad.
There you go. BJ, got any thoughts about the tight end position?
Just like I said, just Ingram and Pitts, a move tight end. I mean, I can honestly say I haven't looked at the ones in college. I don't know any ones about the ones in college yet.
Okay. Let me throw out a couple of names from the draft that I've been looking into and really like. Of course, the ones that Zim mentioned, Colston, Loveland, and Tyler Warren, those guys are going to be the odds are much more on their side than without that. Those guys are going to be NFL stars. They do it all players. Both of them are 6'6", one a little under 250, one a little over 250. Danny really likes this Howard Fanine from Bowling Green, and a lot of people have been looking at him as a U-back. I fell in love with the kid from Texas, Gunnar Helm, and then he ran like a 8.5 in the 40. But
then he sprained his ankle.
Exactly. And then I learned he had a sprained ankle. You have pictures of it.
Great player, though.
Yeah, he's an outstanding player. I think he's an all-around kind of Cole Kmet back, but Danny says he needs to work more on his blocking. Tooch, you mentioned Elijah Arroyo and Mason Taylor, two excellent guys. Terrence Ferguson is somebody that Danny talked a little bit about. And then there's one name that I think we should all keep an eye on, and that's the guy named Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech.
Best blocker in the draft.
Exactly. That's what Daniel Jeremiah called
him. He can catch, though. He's a tough runner, too, man.
He can make that catch.
He plays angry.
Yep. He'll give you in his rookie season, I bet you 12 catches and probably move the sticks on 10 of those. That's the kind of player you'd be bringing in, but you can rely on him to be a good blocker, to be that second tight end that you bring in on passing downs. And you've got a lot of already offensive weapons. You don't need a tight end that's going to get you 40 catches because, first of all, it's going to be hard just from a ball distribution standpoint, with all the weapons you got. A guy like Jackson Hawes could go, I think, in the 6th round to the Chicago Bears. We'll see.
Do we still have a 6th round pick?
Let me see. I just opened that up. We've got 10, 39, 41, 72, 149. We don't have a 6th round pick. 235 in the 7th round and 242. But Ryan Poles, one thing he's proven, he'll move up and down that ladder in the draft order, man.
He'll trade picks from next year too.
Yep.
Yeah, he will.
He's not shy.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I'd love to get the temperature of you and everyone else in the chat. Do you think this is the year? Do you think that, that you can go last to first, given the difficulty of the division? That's going to work against you, definitely. But given that you brought in a mastermind type head coach, that's the reputation. He's built an outstanding offensive and defensive coordinator and a position coach. He's got all of these weapons now that they're accumulating. The offensive line is certainly going to be overhauled. Now we're going to see how the defense is going to help out. Dennis Allen is a brilliant coordinator. He just needs 2 or 3 more pieces. Do you think, what's your confidence level that we could go from last to first? PJ, what do you think?
I think if we build the team the right way, I think that's the key. For me, I was talking to the guys from our show earlier today, and I was of the belief, you bring in Jonathan Allen, you bring in a Chase Young, so you have a defensive line of Sweat, Dexter, Allen, and Young as your starting front 4, and then you have the guys behind them. They say, well, that Washington had similar to that, and they didn't do well. My pushback to that was Washington didn't have the secondary that we have, nor the linebackers that we have. And then, to your point of Ben Johnson being this mastermind, you get that offensive line fixed. Even if we don't get a outstanding 3rd wide receiver, but if we somehow get a real good second tight end, that's now solidified. And the only thing you need then is to have that good running back. So it's possible. I mean, the short answer is it's possible. It's just certain things just have to fall into place.
Yeah. There you go. Tooch, I think you muted.
The Bears can compete for the division, I think, and I'll tell you why. The Vikings, if they don't re-sign Sam Darnold, will probably be going with J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't started a game in the NFL yet. Packers took a step back. They didn't win. I can't remember what their division record was. I think they were 1-5 in the NFC North. And then the Lions, of course, they've lost some pieces, right? With their both coordinators leaving. They're still the team to beat. But if the Bears continue on this path they're going, rebuilding the offensive line, get some playmakers in the draft, and help pass rush. I mean, I saw Joey Bosa was released today, and then there's Khalil Mack, and there's Chase Young are out there, Jonathan Allen as well might be available. But if they increase their pass rush pressure, I think they could definitely compete for top in the NFC North.
I see Steven giving you thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, there are players, larger defensive ends. I mean, Chase Young played for Dennis Allen last season.
Mm-hmm. I like Chase. I like Chase Young a lot more now than I did 2 years ago when they were talking about trading for him. That's for sure. Because now he's proven he can do it elsewhere. He can stay healthy, and he's got familiarity with the scheme.
What do you think about Bosa?
He's like 26 years old.
Yeah. What do you think about Bosa? I saw you going left and right.
No. Why would you want a 33-year-old who's only played 3 games out of his last 23?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's.
If he's healthy though, he's like hard to stop, man. But you're right, he ain't healthy.
He hasn't been healthy for 4 years.
Healthy. But man, he's a terror.
That long, wow.
Yeah, I mean it's hard with the NFL to remember that these guys fall off fast.
Yep.
Joey Bosa hasn't had double-digit sacks since 2021. That's 4 long years ago. He's been injured every season since. He's not worth the $23 million contract that he was on, and that's why he was released. And that's even including the fact that LA was already losing their defensive end opposite of him. So I think he's headed to San Francisco on like a super cheap deal to play with his brother. And
I would.
Yeah.
I would. I'm surprised more players don't do that. I'm surprised J.J. Watt and T.J. Watt didn't do that. Because if I would have had an opportunity to play with my brother, I mean, even if it's for 1 year, I'm jumping on it. That's why I'm glad the Twins did it in New England.
Mm-hmm.
The McCourty twins.
The McCourty boys, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad the Barbers never got the chance, man. They would have been awesome on the same team. But
I would jump at that opportunity.
At the same time, I can't imagine Tiki anywhere but New York and Rondé anywhere but Tampa. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's why Bosa, go to San Francisco.
That's it. So at any rate, as far as taking the division though, I think the Bears have a better shot to compete for the division than pretty much anybody else in the division, to be completely honest with you. Everybody else is either losing something or just not good in the first place.
Yeah. But D. Starren put up the Bears road game.
It's tough.
Cincinnati, Detroit, Green Bay, Las Vegas against the Raiders, Minnesota, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Washington. It's tough. It's going to be tough to reach 500. You got to protect Soldier Field real well next season because that's a tough road schedule.
But if Caleb makes the jump and Ben Johnson really is that guy, you can steal 2 of those games that you probably have penciled in as losses right now.
Mm-hmm.
That takes you from 4 to 5 losses down to 2 or 3 losses. And if you only lose 2 or 3 on the road and you only lose 2 or 3 at home, that puts you at least 11 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is all speculation. It's assuming they do a good job of constructing this roster, that Ben Johnson really is the mastermind that we expect him to be, and that Jordan Love is who we think he is, that Kwesi can't build a team the way that I don't think he can build a team up in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. I should say south in Minnesota based on where I am right now. That's fucking weird. That Detroit is nothing without their coordinators, which I mean, I firmly believe. I think they're going to go right back to looking like year 1, year 2 Dan Campbell. Personally, I think there's a chance he loses that locker room around week 11 if they're not winning games. Genuinely. I honestly, and this is my hot take of next season, I think there's a chance Dan Campbell gets fired after next year if that team backslides as hard as they possibly could. I'm not saying it's a reality. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. I'm just saying I can see a world where it does happen.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
they have
but
very good leadership from the players. You're absolutely right.
I think it'll take 2 losing seasons to fire him, just because he's earned
and
so
that's fair.
much trust.
He's absolutely earned more runway than that. I'm simply saying this is like a Trestman, wheels completely fall off the bus, or even what happened with Eberflus this year, where they were content to keep him through the end of the season, even with all the losing, and then push came to shove, and you had to make a move. And this is a super hot take. I totally get it. I'm projecting beyond all projections here, and that's why I really want to make it a point to say that I only see an extreme world where that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think the guy's a glorified cheerleader. I think that Jared Goff is the exact same player that he's always been. I don't think there's anything special about the guy. I think it was Ben Johnson's offense. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is really good at what he does, but without a coach that's able to scheme for what he does, will he continue to succeed? And, the list goes on and on and on about that. I think that, again, Green Bay, Jordan Love is not it. To be completely frank, I think he is going to be their Jay Cutler, where the rest of the league can clearly see him for what he is. And in Green Bay, they're like, no, this guy can be a competitor. He can win. He's and it's like, man, you guys keep believing that. We're going to keep having good quarterbacks. And then Minnesota, again, with JJ McCarthy, I don't think that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah can build a roster. I think that Kevin O'Connell is just that good of a coach.
I will say, though, that I think with you on something with Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra, if they start losing, I can see him, no disrespect, but becoming like a Antonio Brown, to where he just started imploding because of the losing. So because of his temperament, I can see him losing is like, nah.
I think Jameson Williams is in a similar position as well. That he's not, as elite of a player, but
right.
They built that team with a bunch of dogs, and the thing is, dogs bark, but they bite too, and they will fight each other the second that there's a reason to.
Yeah.
Foster's got a question. Would you guys be opposed to bringing in Josh Myers for $8 million at the center position? Myers played for the Green Bay Packers last season. Here's a quick look at some of the other centers that I targeted. Bradley Bozeman, not very good, but can give you some snaps there. Coleman Shelton, probably played a little better than we thought when he's made his debut against Tennessee. It didn't look good, but he got better and solid through the rest of the season. Drew Dalman, of course, is the prize center at this in this year's free agency. He's probably going to get about $15 million or maybe slightly less. Josh Myers, as our friend asked, maybe about $8 million. Austin Corbett and Nick Gates are guys that I hope that the Bears don't seriously consider. Those were some of the best names that I found at free agency. What do you guys think about this free agency center class?
It's weak.
Yeah.
They really messed up. They really messed up not drafting a center last year. They really messed up. Yep. Kirana Magaji should not have been the pick. Yeah. Jackson Powers Johnson was staring you right in the face.
He wasn't there when they got.
No, that was the second round. Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. No, there was another center who started last year, and I can't think of who it is off the top of my head.
Bo Limmer.
Is that who it was?
It was.
It was Bo Limmer. Yeah.
He played what for the Rams? Is that who it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
he took
And then
over.
there was
and he was like a 5th-round pick and ended up being pretty good.
another guy with 3 names that was there as well.
The guy went up to Buffalo.
Yes.
From Georgia, Cedric Van Pran.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was there in the 3rd round. That's the guy I wanted.
Yeah, me too. Because he didn't go until like the 5th.
What, you didn't want a punter?
I was cool with the punter. I'll be completely honest. Tooch, you watch enough Iowa football.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, his stats weren't all that great. I flashed him up there earlier. I mean, he's 27 years old, man.
Yeah, Bearski brings up another one from, what was this, 2 years ago? Zach Pickens, when they could have had John Michael Schmidt.
He was kind of mid, to be honest. Tory was kind of mid.
But Michael Smith ain't really doing much in New York, is he?
He hasn't. He's
starting
shown
games
promise.
and protecting his quarterback.
Yeah, but he's not. From what I've read, I can't say I've saw any of the tape, but from what I've read, he's just been kind of so. There's waiting for him to like really blossom.
So is better than what the Bears have had the last 2 years. That's the other thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, you got to take some shots and you got to develop some of these guys, and you want to try to get as higher in the draft guys to develop because the odds are that they'll develop. But so there isn't really a good center in this draft. Tooch talked about Monheim, but I got to disagree with you. I don't know about him. He's got real short arms. You know, I see him.
So did Olin Kreutz.
Yeah, but you know
that can't be Bears fans' defense every time, though.
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
It's got T-Rex arms,
right? You know, and there's just a lot more guys that are unlike Olin Kreutz. You know, and the center position, you don't need real long arms, but it does seem like with Monheim that could be an issue. I mean, he's targeted as a 6th, 7th round pick,
right?
So,
but that's why you take him in the 6th or 7th round.
I agree.
He's a developmental.
He's
familiar
not going to
guy.
be a starter next season. We all can agree on that, right? All right.
Absolutely.
Great classic case of emergency, though, Aldo.
Yeah, which happens quite often in Chicago.
Bo Limmer was a 6th-round pick for the Rams. He ended up starting. You know, they went to the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He made Jonah Jackson expendable.
Well, what people keep overlooking though is the scheme. I mean, because I keep hearing people say about this Dahlman guy. Bears are not going to go after Dahlman. He's a move type center to where he's more of a zone outside blocking scheme.
Yep, the zone blocking.
Ben Johnson's not going to do.
Last year he would have fit pretty good.
Yes, last year, but this year coming up, we're looking for more of a bruiser type guy, and I don't know the guys that you had on your list up there, Aldo. I don't know if any of them is that bruiser type guy, but that's the profile we're looking for. I mean, Bozeman maybe. I think he's kind of a bigger guy. I think. But the other one, Shelton's not, Dahlman's not.
Yeah, Shelton played at 285 last season.
See,
Bozeman was the guy he played at Alabama, right? Bozeman.
Yeah, I thought he was playing with is he not playing with the Ravens? Is that where
now he is? I think he's a free agent now, but he was the guy that played at Alabama, if I remember correctly. And so I met him down at the Senior Bowl, and he was kind of
Alabama.
Short. He's only like 6 foot, 6'1". He's one of the short guys, but he does have that country boy disposition where he's going to try to kick your ass. But I'm not sure he's got the size to back it up. You know what I mean?
He was on the Chargers last year.
Okay, Chargers.
Having a shorter guy
says,
might be good with.
He's listed at 6'5", though. I don't know. Maybe they mismeasured him.
Bozeman was at 6'5"? Okay, so maybe I got it confused.
6'5", but
maybe I got it confused.
Yeah, he was University of Alabama.
All right. Anyway, we got to get that center position correct, and it's probably maybe these moves are going to be augmented with a big signing of Drew Dahlman, and so now, and then if you pick up a left tackle in the draft, you're going to have an incredible offensive line, in my opinion, with these 4 new players on the line. But we'll see. We'll see.
To
the
me,
other positions.
I think Thuney plays on the left. just because
Absolutely.
a veteran presence next to Braxton Jones. Well, we don't even know if Braxton Jones will be ready for the start of the season.
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct. And Karan Amagaji, whoever is going to be the left tackle, will really benefit from Joe Thuney being to their right. And the same thing at the center position. They're going to benefit from Thuney being on their left. A clubhouse leader, a guy who is really smart, a guy who is very likable. Yeah, that Thuney definitely has that position locked
got
up.
a couple rings with the Chiefs.
Got a couple of rings.
Well, let's put it this way. He spent 4 years playing with Tom Brady. He spent 4 years playing with Pat Mahomes, and now he's going to spend 4 years playing with Caleb Williams. All right.
Well, we better
Three
be
of the
signing
greatest
quick.
players ever to step on a football field, right?
I never thought about it that way. Thank you.
I think that I don't think Ryan Poles would have made that trade if he wasn't almost 100% certain that he can sign Thuney to a contract extension. I wouldn't be surprised if sometime during free agency next week they'll announce that he has signed for an additional 3 years. That's my gut feel.
I've seen rumors flying around about that. I don't know how credible they are, but I've seen a lot of these rumors start flying before things happen. So we'll see. I've got my algorithm pretty dialed in, you know.
There you go.
I do have a question for the three of you guys, and I'm going to run and take a leak after I leave it with you. So
sure thing.
I'll be right back. But how concerned are you guys that, you know, rebuilding this offensive line might create a temporary dip of some kind? You know, you got 4 guys coming in who've never played. You know, you'll have 5 guys on that line who've never played together before. Is that a point of concern, or is it kind of a wash because you've got a brand new head coach anyway? So, you know, I'm curious to hear what you guys think, because I haven't heard a lot of discussion about it, and I think it's a point worth investigating.
Go take a piss and keep the door open so you can hear our responses. You know, it's a great question. And I think the answer has a lot to do with, okay, who are these 4 new players that we're talking about? Are they veterans? Yeah. Are they good guys, smart guys? Are they good in the classroom? Can they take what they learn in the classroom out into the practice field, take it from the practice field to the playing field? And so if, you know, I got to bring them up again. I know J2K is not in the chat room, so I'm not kissing his ass. But the thought of Josh Simmons now, especially if he can trade down and pick him up at 15, that starts to make a lot of sense. When I heard him at the combine and how he talked about his preparation for football games, he says it's all second nature. I get out there and I play fast because I spent so much time studying the stunts that are coming our way, studying this, studying that. I got turned on. I said, wait a minute, maybe J2K is onto something here.
Boner alert.
Yeah. What do you that's not, can't get any more right.
He's a dude, man. Josh Simmons, he's a dude.
Yeah.
He is a strong guy too. I mean, Braxton Jones to me has always been a little light in the pants, getting walked back. You know, we saw it too many times last year. Josh Simmons, you'll see a lot less of that. And like I said, the guy prepares for the games. You know, you got to like it. As far as the offensive line not gelling or however, I'm with Aldo. They're all veterans, and I mean, we've got better coaching staff this season. So I think with Ben Johnson, the offensive line coach, I think if you saw the Panthers, their line, they built a whole new offensive line last season. They started to play really well at the end of last season. They were given, they took the Chiefs all the way. You know, they took the Chiefs to all the way to the fourth quarter. They had a chance to win that game against the Chiefs. But I'm not worried. I think they'll be fine. It depends on what the other 2 spots are, the center and left tackle, before I can answer the question fully.
I think for me, the key always comes back to how much time are you giving them together? If you don't allow these guys to actually play in preseason games to develop that rapport with each other, you're not gonna gel. I think that's what has been our problem with our old line for the last few years. Our coaches, for whatever reason, are not playing our guys in the preseason, and therefore we're taking about 2 or 3 games before we can finally get rolling and looking like a professional team in a season. It shouldn't take that long. Stop playing these guys where like they earn the right to only play 1 series in the preseason. Like, They haven't earned that right. Why are you treating them like they're the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, let them sit up there and get some time to jail. I understand. Well, you worry about injury. If you were so worried about injury, why are we playing football? I mean,
Exactly.
if I'm worried about that injury, why am I playing? So you got to let these guys jail, and you only can jail in live action play.
Yep. Zim, you want to answer your own question?
I mean, I think you guys covered a lot of the main talking points on this, and it was a genuine question for me, so I hadn't really dove into it too much because I don't know that part of the game. I don't know the trenches. I was a skill position player for the limited amount of time that I played. And I'm not a film guy. So that's why I ask people like you, because that's what this is all about, right? We're gaining knowledge and insight from each other. We're not just talking heads. We're trying to learn here.
Right. All right. I got Tooch sent me via text yesterday an idea of maybe doing like a 3-round mock, and you guys, PJ, Zim, how did you have it? That they would be the scouts and you're the GM making the decisions?
Well, I didn't know Zim was going to be here, so I was like, PJ would be the GM and Aldo and I would be the scouts.
Okay.
But
well, I don't want to be a scout. I just
want to be the
be
GM?
behind the scenes. I'll be behind the scenes running the generator. You guys, how about so we need 2 scouts and a GM. Who wants to be the GM?
I can be the scout.
All right. PJ, Zim, you want to be the GM and make the final decision on the call? You want to be the scout?
All right. I'll be the GM.
I want to be the scout too.
Yeah,
right,
I
so
had a feeling you did, Tooch.
It's a 3-round mock. Let me set it up, and this should be fun. A lot of people are always asking us to do more mocks. So when Tooch sent me that, I forgot to respond to you, Tooch. I apologize, but I was really excited about it. So I'm going to run it in slow. This is Pro Football Network's scouting thing, majigger. Let me share the screen.
And this is the roster as it stands today, with the trades that have been made and no projections in free agency.
Good thinking. Let's set that stage correctly. Well done.
I will clarify that I'm relying on a lot of the things that the people in the chat has said, as well as what I hear from you guys, because I haven't did a lot of scouting myself of the players in the college right now. So my suggestions will be based upon what I have heard.
Great. And everyone in the chat, you're playing a role in this too. You're part of the scouting community. Absolutely. All right, here we go. We're going to share it on the screen. Already we got a trade request, but let's see what's happened with the first 10 picks. Let me put this full screen so people can see a little bit better. So Will Campbell, that's probably not going to happen, but you never know, right? Will Campbell goes first. Cameron Ward goes second to the Browns. Campbell went to the Titans. Armand Membu, whose stock is rising and rising, goes ahead of Abdul Carter at number 3 to the Giants. The Patriots are happy with Abdul Carter at number 4. Mason Graham falls to number 5, the Jaguars. Genti goes to Tom Brady and the Raiders. Shadil Sanders is now the new quarterback for the New York Jets. Travis Hunter is at number 8 for the Panthers. And at number 9, Will Johnson. So the Bears are on the clock. Some of the top players available: wide receiver McMillan, Stewart, tight end. Stewart is the edge. Warren, the tight end. Kelvin Banks, Mikael Williams, Tyler Booker still out there. So let's see the trade offers, and then you guys can take it away. You got 4 trade offers right off the bat. Should we all agree we're not going to fucking trade with the Packers?
Absolutely not.
Reject. Exactly. All right. So the Broncos have offered their 20th pick and their 51st pick, plus next year's second rounder, which will probably be, late in the second round for our 10th and 149. We've got 2 more. The Commanders are offering 29, 61, 79, 207, and the second round pick, they got somebody in mind for the number 10 pick, and that's all they want back. And then the last offer is from the Falcons. This is the one that comes up over and over for me when I do this: 15 and 46. So you're not falling too far back, but you're not getting much back. You're getting the 46th pick of the draft. Any of those trade offers tempting to you guys?
I like Atlanta's.
I like Atlanta's too.
I like
consider
Atlanta's.
what was the one with what was it? The Redskins gave us like their whole draft.
Yeah, 29, 61. Yeah, look at
I like that one too.
They'll only have 2 more picks in the draft after that.
Yeah. You got a second round next year too.
Yeah. So, Zim, should we just reject the Broncos offer?
Yeah, because we got to give up our 149.
Yeah,
right?
I don't like that.
I'm not keen on giving up extra picks. Yeah.
All right, and so let's discuss the Commanders and the Falcons. We got 2 votes yes for Atlanta, or at least not yes, but that they like it. And the Commanders are offering a lot, but we are going back 19 places and then gaining I think that's 2 second rounders. So that'll give us a total of 4 second round picks.
Next
and a late
year?
round. No.
This year.
Oh,
this
this year.
year.
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
then another one next year. So that's pretty attractive, but you are going down 19 points.
We would have 3 second round picks next year too.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got 2. We got Carolina's next year, right?
No,
we got theirs
That's
this year.
year's.
Do we have another one next year? I'm under the impression
we're done.
No? Okay,
That's
we're
it.
done. All right, all right.
We've done robbing the Panthers.
Okay.
So here's my issue with both of these trades.
Okay.
Neither one of these teams need a quarterback.
Yeah. So
Meaning
they would
they're both
probably not
trading up
offer
for a player that we probably like at this spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, I don't like Washington's offer nearly as much because moving down 19 spots and then seeing they don't need a quarterback, the next 3 teams after us don't need a quarterback.
Who do you think they're going after?
To be with Washington, probably Shamar Stewart.
Wow.
Shamar Stewart is a great player. They just drafted a tight end in Ben Sano.
It could be Tyler Warren, the tight end, because Zach Ertz is getting up there in age.
I don't know. I might be tempted to take this trade because I love all those draft picks.
If we took the Washington trade, you're trading down. You're going to probably then you're in position to take a guy like Amari and Hampton.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the Atlanta team, you could get somebody like Josh Simmons. I wouldn't even be adverse to taking Jalen Walker, man. I love that player. Bears have an opening at linebacker, but at 10, if I'm there.
Yeah, if we stay right where we are right now, who do you take?
So
let's look at them by position. So at the offensive line, starting at center, there's Jared Wilson is a 3rd round pick. The guards, you got Tyler Booker and Gray Zabel, who could be your next center. And then at the tackle positions, you got Kelvin Banks Jr. and of course the guy we've done a lot of talking about, Josh Simmons. And then after that, the rest of the guys are pretty much second rounders.
Well, I'll tell you. For me, it's a pass on Tedorora McMillan, just his attitude after the combine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe he's ranked that high, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just it's not a great draft for wide receivers.
Perhaps that's why. Now, Samuel says that the Commanders would be very unlikely for them to trade their entire drafts, and so maybe we should reject it just because it does seem inconceivable.
It's just not realistic.
Yeah. So I know PJ, you like that, but let's go ahead and just cancel that one and talk about the Falcons one. Yeah.
Okay, so that moves us down 5 spots. Who's at 14?
Let's see. These guys have Mikael Williams, the edge player from Georgia, who Shimon loves. I'm sorry.
What team is drafting 14?
Oh, 14 is the Colts. Sorry.
All right. So basically, we have to decide here. Are we willing to lose the top 5 players on our board in order to gain pick number 46?
That's okay with it.
That's one additional pick.
There's guys down there I think I would be comfortable with taking. Like Shamar Stewart, he had a great combine. He did produce a lot in college. The guy opposite him had a lot more production, Scorton.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 20, I think also. Michael Williams is also 20. Michael Williams is a guy that will probably be a better pro than he was in college. If you're looking for a big a defensive end player, Mike Williams and Stewart are those 2 guys. You know, if you're looking for a linebacker who's a phenomenal pass rusher, sideline to sideline, man, Jalen Walker is a dude. I love that player. He's a really good ball player. Sanborn's gone now, so you got an opening at linebacker. He is a great player. And then you got trade back, and you could grab Josh Stewart, who I think is probably the best left tackle in this draft. So I'm okay with trading back to 15. I think the guy that you're missing on would be the tight end from Penn State.
I think that's the biggest miss here because I like Banks, but I don't know if I like him at 10.
I like Banks, but I think he's as light as Braxton Jones.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I like him at 15 a lot more than I like him at 10. PJ, are you in alignment?
I'm in alignment with trading back. I'm more so in the camp. I guess Aldo talked me into it as well as Tooch. Josh Simmons, is that his name?
Yep.
I'm all in on him.
Yeah. All right, let's make that trade with Atlanta then, and
all right,
see what
pull
comes
the trigger. We accept it. Almost rejected it.
Who did they take? Shamar
They
Stewart.
took Shamar Stewart.
I told you it was Stewart they were coming up for.
You're right.
Yep.
Macau Williams is off the board.
So the two big edges went.
Yep. Tyler Warren
goes one pick before us. Calvin Banks is still available, and we have some trade offers.
All right, but let's look at Calvin Banks, Simmons is there, and if you're thinking edge, James Pierce.
I do like James Pierce.
A lot of people do.
So some character concerns, but the dude blew up the combine with his athletic testing.
All right, let's look at the offers. The Eagles want to move up 17 spots. They'll trade their 32nd, their 64th, and give away the 2nd and 4th picks of next year's draft. The Tampa Bay Bucks say, let us move up 4 and we'll give you our 53rd pick. That would give us, I think, 5 second-rounders.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final offer comes from the Jags. They're basically don't have a first-rounder. They're trading 36, 70, 88, and the 2nd and 3rd rounders next year. Interesting.
I'm going after the second one. The second one for sure.
I like the Jacksonville trade, but I don't like not having a first-rounder at all.
Yep.
The Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers. That's the one I'm going.
I think we're pretty much all in agreement. Easy on that one to take the Buccaneers.
As long as we don't lose Josh Simmons here, I think
that's going to be tricky. That's going to be tricky. Let us see.
I think he'll still be there.
He's low enough on the draft board that Kelvin Banks might even be available. We might have a legitimate coin toss here.
Oh,
there we go.
Look at that. I'm not even going to look at these offers, right? Because we have
no, fuck Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Josh Simmons. Does anyone disagree with Josh Simmons?
Nope.
Not at all. These guys talk me into him. I'm telling you.
It's unrealistic to trade back twice, says Bierski. Yes, Bierski, I know, but we're all drinking and have a good time.
Yeah. What a wet blanket, Bierski. Just kidding. I love you, buddy.
Did anybody go to Josh Simmons' birthday?
I'll tell you what, he's so big, I'd go do whatever he says.
Man.
All right, should I pull the trigger or do you want to talk Colston Loveland?
Pull the trigger.
Being there, we take him.
To me, I've always said, Aldo, the first round positions for me are edge rusher, left tackle, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the guys that the first round are where you have to strike on those positions,
Yep, I hear you. All right, so we're going to pull the trigger on that one, and then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in the next 49, 59, 69, 79, like 35 picks. So that's not bad at all. We'll pick Josh Simmons, and then
like it.
There's our pick on the board, Josh Simmons, and there we go. Matthew Golden taken by the Broncos. Derek Harmon, an interesting defensive tackle, is going to be with the Steelers. The best linebacker in the draft, Jihad Campbell. Luther Burden, the enigmatic Luther Burden, goes to the Packers. Siobhan Ravel, the cornerback, goes to the Commanders. Nick Sculton, the edge, goes to the Texans. Cameron Williams, the tackle, goes to the Rams.
That's such a Ravens pick.
Yep, Gray Zabel is going to the Ravens. Donovan Jackson, good offensive lineman, is going to the Lions. Tyleek Williams going to the Vikings. Nick Emawani, the stud, going to the Colts. Mike Green, the edge rusher, going to the Chargers. I missed one. Emeka Egbuaz, the wide receiver, going to KC. Then in the second round, Trey Olmos. Maliki starts. Jackson Dart, the quarterback, going to the Titans.
Jalen Milroe.
Jonah Saviani going to the Jaguars. Jalen Milroe going to the Raiders. Interesting. Not a Tom Brady type quarterback, that's for sure. And then Trey Harrison. So here we come. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 picks coming up here pretty quickly. Let us look at the trade offer first. Texans want to move up 19 spots? No. I think we all agree on that. KC wants to move up.
No.
They'll give me 63 and 66 for a pick next year and our 39th. Anybody say yes?
No.
All right.
My scouts, I'm going to come to you first and tell you I want to take Colston Loveland here. Tell me why I shouldn't.
Because Omarion Hampton is still out there?
Ooh.
I can get him in 2 picks.
True. You still have extra running backs there.
I'm looking now. I'm wondering where's the next edge at?
Okay.
Because we do need to address him.
Donovan Rauco from Boston College. The scouting report on him is that the sack production was really high. At 16 and a half sacks. So he's a player, but he is not a Dennis Allen type at 6'2".
He's got a lot of pass rush moves, though. If you're talking about this is a dude that
he's got a small frame.
He's got some moves. Yeah, he's a smaller player. Jack Sawyer's like a Sam Hubbard type player. He's bigger, 6'5", 265 around there.
What are Sawyer's numbers like at Ohio State?
I mean, he's a high effort player. He's not like a bend the edge speed rusher.
Okay, so we're picking up a DeMarcus Walker replacement, not.
No. I mean, DeMarcus Walker's a lot bigger, man. He's like 285 pounds, 280. Sawyer's
I do like Princely. I like Princely. I'm not saying take him at 39, but I do like Princely.
Yeah. Landon Jackson is intriguing, but he didn't have a ton of production either. There weren't really a ton of players who were double-digit sack artists, and Dennis Allen does like those bigger edge players. For tight ends, throw the tight ends up there.
There you go. Colston Loveland, Harold Fanine Jr., Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm.
Colston's good. Mason Taylor's a darn good player, too.
Mason Taylor is very good.
He could be available. You can get him later.
Yeah. Could be available at 53.
He'll be available at 53. Might even be available at 71.
And Loveland isn't. I forgot how big he is. He's not the best.
They have him at 6'5", 248.
Yeah, he's more like a big wide receiver than a blocker.
Yep.
He's more of like a get in the way of the defender than power block. I think tight end is deep enough where you can get guys later. What are the if you go to the all button, like who's the top ranked player? It is Loveland, right?
It is Loveland.
It's Loveland and then Nolan, Walter Nolan, defensive tackle.
What defensive tackle does he play? The nose or the 3-tech beat?
For Nolan?
Yeah. Walton is a 3-tech.
Yeah, it's a 3-tech.
So he could be the 3-tech the Bears have been looking for.
But then we still don't have a nose.
Kenneth Grant is gone, right?
Kenneth Grant is not gone.
He's
available. He is right here at the defensive tackle out of Michigan, 6'3", 330.
That dude is a freak.
Yep.
That may be the guy right there. That may be the guy I take right there.
he ran like a 4.8 40 at 340 pounds. You know what I mean? So you don't find guys like that often.
This guy might be your best run defender available now. So
yeah, he did have some sack production though too. I don't know how many sacks he had, but he was able to get to the quarterback a few times.
Yeah, he's got some nice pass. It says ultimately Grant has the upside of becoming one of the best run defenders in the NFL and producing as a pass rusher.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going with him. I'm sorry. That's who I would recommend. Yeah.
Yeah, I had 3 sacks last year, but
if I take defense here, I'm going to be really inclined to go offense with the next pick.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and it's only 2 picks later, so
let's get Grant.
All right, just checking the chat. Samuel says take Grant, and when Samuel talks, we listen.
Yep, I like Grant as well.
Grant it is. And now the Saints right after us choose Walter Nolan.
All right.
And now we are back on the board. The Packers again.
No,
we don't trade with the
we don't
Packers.
trade with the Packers. Yeah. Don't even send us that.
Now the Saints are saying 71 and 93
I'm
and
not
the
giving
second
up our
round.
fifth.
Yeah, I'm not either. Hell of that. We're already. I don't even think we have a 5th next year, right? Oh no, it's the 6th that we don't have next year.
The 4th. The 4th.
The 4th. Is it the 4th?
Yeah.
That we gave up? All right. Yeah, you're right. So we wouldn't have a 4th or 5th. So let's reject that. All right, guys. What do you want to see on the board here? And I'll facilitate.
Okay. I'm going to just be honest with you. I want to give you my recommendation. Omari and Hampton.
Okay.
I like Hampton too, but let me where's Ben Morrison from the Wolverines, the cornerback. That dude is good, man.
I don't need a cornerback in the second round.
I know, but hear me out. This dude is confident as hell. He's got length, he's got speed, and he shut down the number 1 wide receiver on every other team he played. He was matched up against the number 1 every game. I know. To me, cornerback is a value position. I know we're stuck with. We still have Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
There's Jalen Jones and Jalen Johnson, but the good one is Jalen. The good one is Jalen Johnson. Tyreek Stevenson. To me, he's I don't know. He's not the best.
He's up and down.
You add this guy, you got 2 shutdown corners. That's all I'm saying. Just hear me out. I love Omari and Hampton too because you are getting a guy who's touching the ball 25 times a game.
Bearski makes a really good point, though. If we can improve up front, our corners will get better.
Which we haven't though. We wouldn't even
just drafted.
Well, we got better push up the middle. We could still use another end.
We could. What do we have edge here?
But at edge, I mean, I think they're going to make a splash in free agency with edge, but
I personally agree.
I tell you this, Zim.
Chase Young.
This is what I would do. My recommendation moving forward from here, I would go running back, then offensive guard, defensive end, then tight end.
Okay,
that's how I would do it.
We pick again in 4 picks after this.
Yeah, that's when I would go after a guard. But for 41, I'm going after Hampton because to me, Hampton is the best running back outside of the guy. From,
he might be better than Jonty. He might be better than Jonty.
Yeah,
a lot of people believe that. Yeah.
Mr.
Zimmerman,
go ahead. You're looking at a guy that's going to touch the ball that many times, in a game. That's just the guy.
Hampton.
Yeah.
Aldo, can you bring up the report on him real quick?
Sure thing. Can do. Absolutely. Omarion Hampton. Oops.
He's ranked, 49th?
One of the class's top ball carriers and would be considered RB1 in almost any other year. He is a well-rounded player who offers production, high-end physical tools, and versatility to excel as a 3-down running back. A violent downhill runner, Hampton offers outstanding size, strength, and power. He is a power back first and foremost, but he offers excellent short area quickness and explosiveness. Hampton has a massive frame, and Ben Johnson would love him to death. Oh, I added that part myself.
He cuts the ball a little bit out of the backfield too.
I'm gonna listen to my scouts and stay away from my gut on this one. And we'll take.
What does your gut say?
My gut says take the tight end, but I understand taking the running back. My reasoning for taking the tight end is that as the roster sits right now, we only have 3 reliable pass catchers. I would like to add to that number. However, we also only have 1.5 reliable guys to run the ball.
Yep.
So they're both value positions. I understand that. I think there's more value to be had out of a tight end, but we don't know the scheme that's going to be run. And with the way we saw this team run, or rather with the way that we've seen Ben Johnson run an offense in the past, I don't think that a tight end outside of Kmet is going to get a whole lot of looks. Running back is deep. Using our 3rd pick on a running back is tough, especially when I believe that Caleb Johnson and Quinshawn Judkins will be available for at least one of our next 2 picks.
Yeah, that is true.
The thing about Hampton, just to throw my 2 cents in, is that he could be that special running back, a la a Saquon Barkley, a la a Derrick Henry. Not, he's not those guys exactly in terms of style, but he could have that kind of effect to a football team. And so when you look at some of these other guys at other positions, they're not going to have that effect. You might find a Hall of Famer in round 4 or 5 of the draft, but that's much less likely than it is choosing Hampton.
Well, and we can always double dip at running back, right? We can get Omar in if he's really our top guy on the board, and if we like somebody else later, we can pick him too.
Yeah.
So again, my scouts are telling me
what's the wide receiver look like? Position?
Good question. Let's look at that wide receiver.
I'm just thinking because
I don't like any of those guys here.
I definitely think they should draft a wide receiver or at least sign a 1 or 2 in free agency, because if you lose DJ Moore or Rome Odunze to injury, you've really got nothing.
This is a great 3rd round wide receiver group right here, but we're at 41, man.
Correct.
What's our lines look like?
At guard, Wyatt Millam, who did not have a good week at the Senior Bowl. Tate Ratledge was the star, I think one of the stars at the Combine with his mullet.
What about
I think is absolutely worth considering.
Center?
At center, Jared Wilson. He's at
we can still get Wilson later.
I love Wilson.
What about these tackles?
I'm going to aim for Wilson at 72.
Well, we drafted a 1st-round tackle already, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need another tackle.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We did first 2 picks with trenches.
Yeah.
Edges, you're looking at Sawyer and punters. Right. You're looking at Sawyer or Landon Jackson. The bigger edge rusher. But there's a guy.
Princely at edge too. I think that'd be my. I'm looking at him at 53, but I like Princely.
I like edge a little later because I think we can get Sawyer, Jackson, or Princely. At any of those, and those are the 3 guys I like there.
There's a guy later on that's big and at edge named Jordan Birch on Oregon.
Josiah Stewart.
Right
that guy is good, man. He's a freak athlete too. At like 260 to 280, he played in there.
So my question is, when you say later, are you talking about in this little mock or realistically in later, as in the 5th round for real?
Good question.
Because the reason why I'm asking is because if we're looking at the center at 72 and possibly Princely at 53, what is your plan for 41 and 46? Is it a running back and a guard, or do you want a tight end in there? How do you want to do it?
Well, I think running back needs to be addressed. I do think that Hampton is the pick here.
Yep.
And then
I'm all right with that.
Are you planning on addressing tight end or guard? Because I still think we need to draft a guard. And I would draft one.
We just signed 2, though.
But I'm still drafting one early because I'm not.
You want to develop. You don't want to end up in this situation in 3 years.
Oh, you're not big on Jonah Jackson, right?
I'm concerned about where is he at now. Is he going to be there for us, or is he not? I don't know, because I don't want to.
We tendered Bill Murray, though.
Happen forever.
We got Bill Murray.
Yeah, but is he ready for prime time?
He's not ready for primetime player.
Yeah.
Although it's Saturday Night Live reference.
I got it. What about, do you guys want to talk about the safety, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame?
I safeties to me, safety is a position of need as well. But I mean, there's some good free agent safeties out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The write-up on him is that he's versatile, displays the ability to play single high as a split safety and down in the slot. He's a ball magnet, highly productive, who has the ability to impact the game and create turnovers. Watts is an excellent coverage player who excels because of his rare instincts and ball skills. I mean, this guy, to me, he's first-round quality. But yeah, it's to take a safety that high is,
man.
It won't be popular with the fans.
That's for sure. Except
you want to put.
He's not playing this year. I don't think you can take a second round flyer on a guy who's not playing this year.
Yeah, he played a lot of nickel.
Man. I mean, look at the guys we had out there at safety last year. Man.
That was because of injury, and you can't count on injury.
I know, but we don't know. We don't know the full health of Brisker. Supposedly he's healthy. He could one hit, he's out again.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Hicks, whatever is that his name? Jonathan
Elijah.
No,
Elijah Hicks. Jonathan Owens.
Right.
Jonathan Owens.
I think Elijah Hicks is a league average player.
Free agent. We still have Adrian Colbert, who was Ryan Poles cried when he had to release him. Yeah, we don't have much juice at safety. We have Kevin Byard, who I think. What do we sign him to a 2-year contract?
Yeah,
Byard?
This is the last year of his deal.
So he's out too. You got to.
You need to look to the future there.
You need to look to the future there as well. I mean, there's some good free agents. I mean, the Raiders safety Merrick, that dude's a player. He was a second-round pick. He's like long playmaker in the backfield. Trayvon Merrick got some speed, length. He's always breaking up passes or getting the interception.
This isn't a bad draft for safeties. I mean, after
players.
Watts, you got Makuba at Texas, Winston with Penn State, where Brisker came from, Ransom of the Ohio State kid, Billy Bowman, a hard hitter at Oklahoma.
Watts is a cut of all those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep,
absolutely.
If you pass on him, there's not. I mean, Makuba's good. Winston is decent too, but after that, there are guys out there you're projecting. Bowman, I know Danny Shimon likes Bowman. He's a shorter player.
So it seems to me you guys are considering Omarion Hampton, Watts, and then was there another guy at the tight end? Colston Loveland.
Yeah, those three players.
Zim's got.
So of those three players,
we already missed our. We didn't get the card in time.
Oh no, we did not get the card in time.
They passed us.
What do you think, GM?
The biggest impact, I think, that's going to happen in 2025 and beyond, I think, is Omarion Hampton.
Okay.
He's the guy who gives us the most overall impact. The other guys were kind of, waiting, expecting injury to help.
I like Loveland. I think you can get Taylor a little bit later and probably not fall off too much.
Mm-hmm.
You got a real solid player with Mason Taylor.
All right, so the GM has spoken. It is Omarion Hampton who is going to the Chicago Bears.
Watts is there. What is it?
At 46?
If he's there, I think you got to pull the trigger. I don't think he'll be there, though.
All right, well, let's go with Hampton has been drafted, and now the Jets at 42 pick the tackle out of Oregon, Connerly, Benjamin Morris in the corner out of Notre Dame.
He's a good ball player, man.
Wyatt Mellon.
He might be there. He's there.
He is there, indeed.
Ooh,
wait a minute.
We can move down one spot and get a fifth next year.
Yeah, as long as they don't take our player.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because they ain't gonna benefit us in this draft anyway. Just fifth next year.
Right.
I would. What if?
But that fifth next year could be anything. It could even be Jonah Jackson.
Should I ask them to sweeten it up? Arizona.
Well, who's on the board?
Okay.
There's a lot of good players on the board.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Who's on
You're
the
only
board?
going back one player. So if you're saying
go to the all tab.
Okay, there you go. Loveland, the tight end from
is
Michigan.
still there, but they don't need a tight end. They're not moving up for a tight end. They're probably moving up.
Point.
Yeah, they're not moving up for a tight end. They've got what's his name? Trey something. Trey, what's that guy's name?
Oh man, he is
Trey
so
McBride.
Trey McBride. Yeah. He is excellent.
Yeah, they don't need a tight end.
Yep.
They're either taking the safety or the pass rusher. They do need safety help. They also need a pass rush too. So it's one of those two guys for Arizona.
All right. So any other thoughts, PJ?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what is it we want to address. Because because I'm of the belief we still need an offensive guard. We need a center.
Yep.
Tight end is kind of a luxury for me. I mean, I get we kind of need one, but I think we can find a good one probably in like the 5th round.
I like Tate Ratledge, but I think we can get him later.
Yep, I agree.
As far as guard goes, I agree.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
you on guard.
who are the guards up there? There's nobody worth taking that high.
I'm not trying to take a guard here.
Okay.
I'm setting up for later on because I like the idea, like you guys says, with that safety. Because Brisker is another
competitor
away from being out.
And Byard is out of contract after this year.
Right. So I get that part of it. But I'm also thinking about, well, we still need edge. And if we then address edge at 53, are we going to address the guard, or are we addressing the center, or are we addressing the tight end after that? See these holes we still have, because I think we try to address them later on. They may not be the quality player we're really looking for.
Point, Coach.
Our next pick is at 53. If we're taking an edge at 53, my target is going to be Jack Sawyer.
Yep.
If we take a guard, Tate Ratledge is easily the highest on the board, and we might have to take him because we don't have another pick until the 70s.
See, for me, we just signed 2 guards, so it's not as high a priority for me. And
I'm kind of in that camp as well.
I would go with like Jared Wilson over another guard, just because you have a center of the future, and a guy that you could maybe line him up this. That dude is smart, man. He's only like 20 or 21 too.
I could agree with that, because I think with the way you guys, because I'm
center is weak.
Full disclosure, I don't know much about this safety, but I agree with what you guys are saying about him as far as we needing the position, and if he's as good as Tooch says he is, because I trust Tooch, and he says he's like a step above all these other safeties. Well, we got to take this.
Runs a 4.40, had 6 interceptions last year, 136 interception yards on return too. 9
if he can be your 2018
tackles,
if he can be your 2018 Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, he's 6 foot 204.
Can he return punts? Like dead serious? Can he return punts?
Probably.
I'd take him if he can return punts.
Who are we talking about again?
Watts.
Xavier Watts. Man, I mean the Notre Dame defense was really good last year. I know they didn't fare well against the championship game, but
how was Urlacher's boy? Is he good?
I mean, he's not coming out this year, is he?
No.
He's like was he a freshman last year?
Oh, I don't
he's
know.
He's on Notre Dame too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying
my
to
recommendation.
see.
I just give you my recommendation is the safety.
I would go. What are our choices again, Aldo?
All right. The choices appear to be. Let's go to all. Loveland, the tight end.
Man, the fact that he's still there. That's such a good value, is the thing.
Yeah. He's a big wide receiver, dude. He's a big wide receiver.
Again, we don't have another. We only have 3 realistic pass catchers. If any of them go down,
I agree. We can get a tight end a little later, though. It's deeper. Safety isn't that deep.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the judgment for me, is the fact that safety is not as deep. So if we're going to take a safety, we have to do it now. Whereas if we're going to take a tight end, we might find someone later. It's still a gamble, but it's a lot less of a gamble.
All right, let's give us 60 seconds to make the decision. The decision will be made by Steven Zimmerman. If anyone has a strong conviction on a player, let them know now.
We have 2 safeties on expiring contracts as well.
Yep.
And Hicks. We have 3 safeties on expiring contracts.
Good point.
As far as people under contract for 2026, I believe Jonathan Owens is the only one under contract, and he is a cut candidate as well.
Right.
Somebody, Larry T, is asking, how come you guys are not considering the edge position?
The value isn't there at edge at this point. In the draft.
Who are the edge again that we have listed up here?
It's funny that you would ask, because I was just going to go there. It's Donovan Iziraruko from Boston College, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, Landon Jackson, who did really well at the Combine, from Arkansas, and PJ's guy, Princely Uman Emilian.
Mm-hmm. I see 3 guys that I can get with our next pick that I don't expect to all be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I understand there's many free agent safeties, but this exercise that we're doing is as if the draft was tomorrow.
Correct.
I like Sawyer, man. They had 9 sacks last year, but he's not your classic speed rusher.
Watts
But
does
he's
not
solid.
return punts. Thank you, Cliff, for doing that research.
Thank you. That actually does affect the decision. But yeah, no safety as good as Watts. We can get a solid starter for 4 years there, and we see the difference that a safety can make, especially with a guy like Jalen Johnson playing in front of him.
Samuel says that Jonathan Owens is also under the final season on his contract.
I thought he still had 1 more year. I thought it was a 3-year deal they signed him to.
I don't know. Well, we're getting down to 20 seconds, Zim. Man, I hate to be in your shoes.
That's okay.
Because you're in Fargo. Yeah. All right. It is Xavier Watts. Notre Dame fans are ecstatic that he's coming to the Chicago Bears. Let's look at our 4 picks so far. Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle, at 19 because we traded down. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, at 39. Omarion Hampton, going to follow the footsteps of Peyton and Sayers and all the other great running backs.
I'm liking this draft quite a bit.
And then Xavier Watts at let me hide this. Xavier Watts, 46. So let's see who's been picked after Watts. It went Landon Jackson, Ariante Irsay, the offensive tackle to the Dolphins, Isaiah Bond, one of the fastest wide receivers in football in this draft, I should say, and to the Bengals at 49. That edge guy from Boston College went to the Eagles. Travion Henderson, the running back, went to Sean Payton.
Still there.
I love that.
Why is that happening?
Jack Sawyer's still there, though, too.
Yeah. So after this one, the next pick after this one's 19 picks later, and will also be the final. So you guys have to think in terms of 2 players, and who's the next immediate pick and who's your last pick.
Can I see who the edges available are?
Absolutely. Don't ask, just say.
I'm more curious about who's available potentially in the 73 range if we don't pick one here.
Yeah, it looks like Kyle Kennard, the skinny kid, but with electrifying speed at the edge from South Carolina.
Yep. He's lighter, though.
Right.
We've tried that already with DeMarcus Robinson. It didn't work.
I love Jordan Birch, man.
Dominique Robinson.
That dude's 280 pounds, had 8.5 sacks last year.
Yeah.
He's just an athletic freak.
Can you look at the write-up on Princely?
Sure
after
thing.
This one? After this?
Princely's good. He's a little lighter than some of these heavier ends.
244 pounds. Princely's collegiate production speaks for itself, but it's really his physical attributes and high motor that make him an intriguing prospect. He's explosive off the snap, has the speed to give opposing offensive tackles fits off the edge. His combination of speed and length gives him significant physical upside. To me, this guy is a 3rd down rushing specialist, at least for the first couple of years.
Yep.
Can I see the tight ends?
Tight ends coming right up.
Colston.
Of course, Colston is there. Yeah. And Mason Taylor. Mason could be there, given the way this draft is going. Could be there at 72.
I'm looking at our next pick. I'm not looking as much at this pick right now. I want to know who's going to be there, depending on the pick that we make.
Okay.
And center.
The pick after this one is 72.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jared
70
Wilson is expected to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's look at guard because there has been talk about the guard position. Tate Ratledge from Georgia. And then after that, a big dip off according to Pro Football Network and their evaluations. So if you want a guard, now would be the time to
Now's
get him
your
because, yeah. And then wide receiver, Alec Ayo. I hadn't even heard of this kid until Danny talked about him yesterday. Danny just started doing his scouting.
Oh, is that the
and
really tall kid from Stanford?
Yeah, he is.
He's all right. It's all right.
6'1", only 6'1", but that's
okay.
His RAS are
But he has an
relative.
enormous catch radius.
Yes, has the physical tools to hypothetically thrive along the perimeter in the NFL. But we're looking more for a slot guy, aren't we?
Is Tez Johnson more of a slot guy?
Yeah, Tez.
Good. He's like 150 pounds, though.
I like Tez a lot.
154.
He's going to get blown with the wind. Had the high winds of Soldier Field. He's going to get blown away.
The thing is, think of Tez as your gadget guy, like Tariq Cohen in a Ben Johnson offense. I like Tez a lot for the Bears, but in this particular mock, I don't think wide receiver is a position I'm considering.
I like Jalen Noel from Iowa State. That dude is a player. He's a good route runner too. He's got some speed.
So here's the deal.
Can play inside and out.
We have 4 positions I want to look at, but we only have 2 picks left.
Great.
So we have to.
All right, because we're only doing a 3-round mock.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have
tight end. List the other picks we have though, like in later rounds. No.
No, not with this.
Okay, I was just curious.
I believe we have 2 7ths after this, and that's it.
That would.
We
that
have a
sounds
fifth.
about right.
We have
We have a 5th. Okay.
The 5th and okay.
And a 5th. Okay.
Yeah.
So, keeping in mind that we have 3 more picks to get those 2 players that we like, the positions I'm looking at are tight end, guard, center, and edge. Okay, those are the 4 positions I like. I think we can realistically get 2 of those, get impact players. The question is, which ones are going to have the most impact on our 2025 Chicago Bears? I'm expecting to develop any player that we draft. That is a given. I'm expecting them to be contributors in 2026 or 2027. So that's why I'm worried about 2025 right now. Loveland is clearly our best player available. I think Jack Sawyer is next. And I think that guard and center are positions that we can both target if we don't like the edge available at 72.
I think we need because we have a starting tight end already. That's why I'm looking at edge at 50.
Because we have a hole.
Huh?
We have a hole at tight end or at edge right now.
Yeah, and
whereas
I think
the tight end we're missing
has more upside than Sawyer.
Okay.
From what I saw.
Well, let's look at our edges.
You got it. Edges coming up. They are Sawyer, Princely, and then a big drop off, at least according to Pro Football Network, Kyle Kennard. So really, you're just talking about Sawyer and Princely. Right.
Yep. And then, do we like either of them more than the tight end?
I like him more than I like Princely more than the tight end simply because he would be a starter, whereas the tight end would be a second tight end.
And the chat has seemed concerned with Sawyer. So.
Oh, really? They don't like Sawyer?
Dinosaur arms. Yeah, he's got short arms. So he's really more of an effort,
He's an effort player.
Yeah.
I like Jordan Birch, man. That dude's a beast.
He's a beast, but might be there at 72.
I would expect him to be there at 72.
Yeah.
I'm gonna offer a thought here, but again, don't let it sway you. But to me, in this case, you have to go best player available. This kid could be a really special tight end. Colston
sliding
Loveland.
So far.
Yeah, this to me would be a huge mistake for any team drafting at 53 in the NFL draft, and Colston Loveland is there, and you could use a second tight end or a starting tight end. To me, yeah.
What can I see the write up on him?
Sure thing.
Oh man, he's a good ball player.
Loveland is a long and lean tight end prospect with excellent overall athleticism. He is a natural receiving tight end who was grossly underused throughout his collegiate career. He aligned all over the formation for the Wolverines, but was at his best detached from the line of scrimmage and in the slot. Loveland is a smooth mover with good speed off the line of scrimmage, a long strider who quickly chews up grass and gets down the field. Let me see if I can find a negative.
Player. He used to play basketball. Yeah, he's a good route runner too.
This is your Jimmy Graham.
Yep.
It says his pass blocking is more effort based as opposed to really getting the technique down, and that's the only knock on him.
The Komet can block.
Yeah, he would need to be work at his blocking if he got here, but man, can stretch the field from the tight end position.
Does Iowa have a tight end coming out this year?
I think so.
Luke Lachey.
Yeah, Luke Lachey. He can get him late round. Yeah.
That's what I would do then. I
get him
trust
in the
Iowa tight ends late. I trust them late. I do. Iowa, they're a tight end factory, so I trust them late.
Realistically speaking, Colston Loveland is not going to be here at this point in the draft.
No.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So as much as I want to take him,
if those guys are gone, you draft Jordan Birch of Oregon.
Yeah.
Sawyer and Princely are gone.
So we're looking at the edge?
Yeah, I think I like Princely.
I like Loveland.
Yeah,
but I would take Taylor later too, but Loveland is special, man. He's a great route runner. Taylor's smooth though too. I mean, they're both going to be good ball players. I mean,
tough choice.
Loveland could line out at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing. If we're realistically looking at wide receiver and tight end, why wouldn't we draft a guy who can do both?
Yep. Yeah, Loveland has got some dog in him too. After he'll break some tackles too.
But is he not still going to be like your fourth or fifth option on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Whereas you do.
I think we need to keep building the trenches.
Yeah.
Larry T says can't have enough of them.
Realistically, I think that's what the Bears are going to do this season. I think they're really going to.
We still have Austin Booker.
We do.
Yep.
Wow, tough choice. Yep. But the decision has to be made, and it's going to be made by this gentleman right here. He is adorable looking in so many respects. He's right now stationed at Fargo, North Dakota, because he's under house arrest for some bizarre crime he committed.
Yeah, what happened?
With his protection.
Exactly. All right, guys, what are we going to do here?
I'm okay with the edge or the tight end.
PJ,
I love the value of Loveland, though, man. Look at that. We're getting him at what, 53?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I just think he'd be like our fifth option. Where
what's his rank there? Right 26.
Mm-hmm.
26.
He's a first round. He's a first rounder that we can get in the mid
back end of the second round. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. I mean, you're either going with your next pick. You're either going with Jared Wilson, the center, or
okay. So I'm building the trenches. I'm going edge. I'm taking Princely, and with my next pick, I'm targeting either guard or center.
All right, the decision has been made. It is Princely Uman Mailan.
Uman Milan. Yep.
If you say so. There he is. Packers then follow up with Jack Sawyer.
There's a reason he's slipping. The Bears never take the guy who slips for whatever reason, unless it's Justin Fields, and it never worked out.
Colston, there it is.
There it is.
Panthers finally taken too much value.
Panthers are having a good draft here.
Yeah.
I think we're having a great draft.
Well, let's review our picks. Josh Simmons at 19, Kenneth Grant at 39, Omarion Hampton at 41, Xavier Watts, and the Prince at 53. Outstanding draft, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well done.
We're building these trenches.
So we are about 6 picks away from the Bears. Ratledge is gone. Judkins, we didn't want him.
Johnson and Judkins back to back.
Good wide receiver at Ohio State, just went to the Raiders. A good cornerback went to the Patriots, Denzel Burke. Darian Porter, another cornerback. This one from Iowa State, and then Xavier. Who was that? The slot receiver. A lot of people went to the Saints. Xavier Restrepo. So, all right, we're not going to trade here because this is our last pick, and we don't want to trade out of it, right?
Right.
All right. So we will reject, and then we'll look at who's available. We still need a tight end, right?
Rusher.
I would like to see guards and centers.
Guards
Yeah,
and
that
centers.
center.
It is.
I think our center is available.
Yeah, he should be. Now, Miles Frazier, Pro Football Network has him at 163, but I saw somebody in the chat say that they really like him, and Danny Schimmon likes him too. So Miles Frazier should be considered here. But the
legitimate 5th-round pick option, I think.
Oh, Jared Wilson's gone, huh?
Jared Wilson is gone. Yeah, let's see. Where did he go?
Yeah, he's a good ball player.
He went to the Packers. You know what that means?
64. 61.
We need to sign Josh Myers then as a free agent.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing too incredible there. Let's look at wide receivers. Tight ends.
Johnson.
Mason Taylor.
Mason's there. Yep.
Running back.
My vote's for
Done
Taylor.
deal there.
I think that's an open and shut case. Unless you want to look at a safety.
No, we don't need another safety.
We don't need one now.
That's
we already drafted Xavier Watts.
That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so
Taylor's
who's sitting there at linebacker?
Linebacker. Barrett Carter out of Clemson. And this kid out of UCLA, I know that Kuiper and Field Yates love this kid. Carson Schwessinger, effort guy, like a Jack Sanborn, but maybe a little bit more talent.
Barrett Carter's been talked about. Pooh Paul Jr., he's also good. I mean, after those three guys, though, there ain't a lot, I'll tell you right now, at linebacker.
I would agree with that.
I would love to get a trench guy, be it a center or a guard right here, but because the value
is not there.
Nope.
Yeah.
I would go with my recommendation would be Taylor.
Yep.
Tight end.
I would too. Yep.
You guys are both for Taylor?
I like Taylor a hell of a lot, man.
I like Tez Johnson.
Yeah, Tez, he's all right, but I mean,
that weight scares
Royals is just as fast, and he's big. He's bigger.
No,
and then you can get Kyle Williams late in the draft, who's also Washington.
6'5", 250. He's gonna make Komet look small right next to him because we're gonna put him in a Bears uniform.
Let me tell you this about Tez Johnson. His 40 time this week was Daniel Jeremiah was really disappointed.
Yeah,
because he is a small guy. So the key to his game is to run fast, and he ran a 4.51. His first run was even worse than that. He ran a 4.51. Now, let me read something that the NFL Network has put out on Tez Johnson. His strengths: high volume target his entire career, ability to play inside a variety of passing concepts. He's adequate. He has adequate early acceleration to create push, has the agility and balance for complex routes, too slippery to apprehend quickly after a catch. Now, his weaknesses: he's got a slight frame with skinny limbs. His release can be slowed by a committed press, average suddenness for a smaller slot target, and he would round his route turns, allowing undercutting by defenders. So the good and the bad, according to Lance Erline, who is going to be Greg Gabriel's guest next Monday.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you want information on anyone else that you're considering? There he is. The pressure is on him, man, like nothing else.
I'm seeing a report that the Bears are interested in Durham Smith, tight end.
Smith.
Tight end played last season with Miami. So maybe we don't need a tight end. I'm just kidding. We need a tight end, Taylor.
No, yeah. We're going to acquire two more, at least. You know how many tight ends we had at one of the camps? Remember that one year we had 10? We may not have that many this year, but we'll have like 5 or 6.
Yep.
What do you think, my man?
Yeah, Mason Taylor out of LSU.
There he goes, Mason Taylor. And I got to give it to you guys. That is one outstanding 3-round mock.
It really is a great draft. Zim did a great job, man. He did a great job. That, man, I would go find Poles and shake his hand. That's a great draft right there.
That's right.
You guys guided me well. I didn't know a ton about some of these guys, and
that is.
I'll be honest. I'm not a huge draft guy. I fully own it. I never have been. I probably never will be. I don't like learning about players until they're on the team that I root for.
Yeah, I get it.
But you guys have sold me on some of these players, and I'm definitely going to have my eyes on the draft for sure this year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think to get Grant in the second, that would be awesome. I mean, we need another run stuffer to go along with Billings.
Yep.
I mean, so yeah, I'd be all over that.
There's a chance that Grant could develop into more, to a 3-down player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seems like, well, I mean, we'll have to see what it looks like this year. But last year they were rotating that line so much that, having 3 DTs would not be a bad problem to have at all.
Yep.
Man, I'm telling you.
Well, guys, I think we need to do this sometime after the draft so we can compare notes and see how the 3-round mock went according to the real NFL draft. So I'm going to be hitting you guys up again in a few weeks. And if anything special comes down the pipe, I ask all of our people to go over to Bears Country Productions tomorrow, where PJ and his crew will be doing their job. You got anything special planned for tomorrow's show, PJ?
I don't think anything truly special. We're going to probably talk about the trades that we have made this week, like we've been touching upon today. So, yeah, I don't think we're doing any mocks or anything. I don't believe so.
Let me ask you a question, because this is the show is called Bare Their Souls. So I want you to bare your soul here. And should we be worried about Mr. Shorty's drinking habits, smoking habits? Do you worry as much as I worry? Go ahead, bare your soul. Stephen, what are you drinking there? A Pabst Blue Ribbon in Fargo? Hold up that can. Look at that thing. I love it. All you're missing is a brown paper bag. I love it. Zim, what do you got going on?
You're looking at it, man. I'm in Fargo.
You remember the movie Fargo, right?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen a single wood chipper while I've been here. Don't worry.
But do you remember the prostitute scene in Fargo? Are you going to replicate that?
No.
Anyway, no. All right. So that's good to hear. We don't want you getting in trouble. You got a lovely wife. If you're going to get in trouble, don't tell us about it, because we'll publicize it all over the place.
Right. I was going to say, you think if I'm going to do anything, you're the kind of person I'd tell. No.
That's right. You know that from past experience. Tooch, what's going on with you? You got a weekend sports betting tip so we can win some money?
We are doing probably the tournament preview. Bracketology.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's that time of the year.
Yep. Selection Sunday, I think, is this Sunday. I think Selection Sunday is this Sunday.
I don't know. But
I'm not sure. Maybe it's a week from Sunday.
Is the basketball tournament a good place to win some money?
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
I know the regular season college basketball, you've talked about how that's almost like stealing money.
I love
but the tournament is the same thing? Cool.
Tournament's great. It's great to watch. I love watching the games. There's always some good stories and excitement. But yeah, just working on getting that together with the guys. But Anthony's kind of in the same boat as Dan Aguirre, with the schedule. So trying to work on that. That's what. Yep.
We had Dan Aguirre on this past Monday, and he's told us that his schedule could be opening up a bit so that he can do some more shows on Bare Their Souls. So that's great news. Let's go around the horn and just shout somebody out, somebody that you love, somebody that you hate, whatever. Shout that person out. We'll start with Zim.
Oh, geez. Lots of pressure.
What's he doing in Fargo, by the way? Are you working up there?
I'm working up here. It's great.
Yeah, he tomorrow night is the night where he guns down three Romanians. Any shouts out? Shout outs, Tim?
Big shout out to my wife who's holding down the fort at home right now with our boys, and you know, it stresses me out to no end knowing that I can't be there to help her, and she's doing an amazing job.
How old are the boys now?
Soon to be 11 and 4.
Wow, awesome.
So
awesome.
Yeah, they are growing up every day. We're getting ready for baseball season. My oldest is going to play his first year of full-on kid pitch, and my youngest is going to start his first season of t-ball. So we're gearing up. And again, none of it's possible without my wife doing everything that she's doing while I'm out of town. And I mean, she's just amazing. So guys, you know, I hope that you all have that. And if you don't, I hope you find it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Let me tell you something, bro. My wife does everything. This is all I do. This is it. You know, all day long. I'll get up to do something. Let me do that for you. You know, she comes from that family background where the woman does everything, and she's taken it well beyond that. And I'm entitled. When you shout out your wife, Zim, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm very, very grateful to be married to my Donna. PJ, any shout outs you got?
Yeah. Got a shout out to, let me give it to my grandson in college, Patrick. Then I got 2 more trying to decide what college they want to go to play ball. Keon as well as Taylor. Then I want to also shout out my co-workers, Randy Starks, Deion Jordan, and Dwayne Wallace. Those are the 3 I'm closest to. We have others that I'm working with, but those 3 guys I'm the closest to, and we have a good time with our things, as well as Daryl Smith.
Love it when you shout out guys that you work with, because they're, you know, so important in your life. They're not only workers, but they're good friends, right?
Yep. I got to shout out my wife too, for she does everything as well. Not only does she work, head of household, and is in nursing school.
That's right. She nurses you because you're always sick, right?
Yep. And I'm a big pussy.
You didn't know, Yep. Donna, my tummy hurts. Do you want me to rub it for you, Aldo? Yeah, please.
I did want to tell you guys, I truly enjoyed your show the other night when Dan Aguirre was with you guys. That was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on and giving some nice words for Dan. He really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Dan is one of the greatest guys you will ever have as a friend. He also presents some really incredible challenges because he's so sensitive to certain things, you know, and I'm trying to talk him down off the ledge, like that story that he told about leaving behind his Justin Fields shirt at a hotel in Cleveland. I mean, the guy was calling me every 20 minutes, and I'm just driving home. I'm like 300 miles away from that. What do you want me to do, dude? The next day, are they going to send it to me? Are they going to send it? My wife called. They promised. It's like, dude, you're driving me crazy. But I love him. What are you going to do? That's family and friends.
He's the best.
And my guys at BCP, let me holler at them. Shorty, Boston, Carl. Appreciate you guys, man. And I love working with you guys.
Yep.
And thank you, everyone in the chat. We had over all of our platforms, 567 people watching tonight, and at least that many and more will be watching on demand. You can catch all of our programming right here on the YouTube channel. Just search Barroom Network, and on audio podcast, search Barroom Network, and you'll find our stuff. Thank you, PJs. Thank you, Zim. And of course, Tooch, I love you like I
Same here, my brother.
Food.
Aldo and Tooch is the best. I just got to say, you guys are great.
Thank you, brother.
Sincerely, you guys are great.
Thank you. Simon's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm talking about as far as your show in the radio.
I know. I'm just.
But Zim's a good guy. Zim, though, I have a lot of respect for Zim. So yes.
Hey, one last thing before we go. Zim, you've been lifting. You look like you've have you added weight? Is that what it is?
Just getting fat.
Oh, okay.
Well, welcome to the club.
I was expecting you to show me a 6-pack or something.
No, dude, I'm in my 30s now. It's all downhill.
Yeah, that started for me when I was 19. Downhill. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right.
And if the dam breaks open many years too soon, and if there is no room upon the hill, and if your head explodes with dark forebodings too, I'll see you on the dark side.